perfect ult because WE is still in complete control. You're looking for OMG to explode it, and that's not possible as WE try and play this one out slowly and properly.
And when was the last time you saw OMG make a proactive play? Like, the most proactive play I've seen this game was them just pushing up mid lane and trying to take it. Like, it's all just been about WE, and there they have control, but at some point you need to break it open. To
add context to what you mean as well, they've made proactive moves, like when they went into the enemy jungle, they've caught Melon out a couple of times. Like, that feels proactive, but how many of them have been for an objective besides a kill? That's what we saw in game number 1 as well. OMG would get a kill, and you're like, fantastic. And then they recall, and it's no longer fantastic. Same thing applies in this game. They killed Melon. They killed Melon again.
Now
but WE get the objective.
Yeah. Where's step 2? Where's the follow-up? You throw out the first punch, and then they just kind of chill with it, and it's like, excellent, we've got a kill onto Icon. We're going to scale. And at some point, that's going to stop mattering because you've got Xie. Mystic's already big. He's going to beat you in a mid-game team fight anyways.
Now WE starts to make plays and be proactive as a result.
Yeah. Top lane's going to fall unless Fire decides to go on this one, but there's a 2 versus 3 until the cavalry arrives, which, to be fair, is just behind them. Venom will get the old Devour, and top tower will fall. World 6. Nice ultimate from Melon, actually just locking him down before he can actually engage on top of Mystic.
Oh, now they
while
want
Devour's down, going to shoot out the Tam Kench onto the jungle, and World 6 try to crawl away with a Cataclysm.
There's just so much gap closing and crowd control there with the Kalista and with the Kassadin going forwards, being aggressive. Rift Herald's there and about to get summoned, and suddenly the pressure from WE continues to grow.
The fact that Mystic is able to be a frontliner here because Ben's able to eat him up whenever he needs him. Shelly take a pierce for his troubles. Top tower just eats a Herald.
Where you
Icon, hello. Rotating to the mid lane for the fast rotation, but that almost...
It's a risky rotation.
Yeah, that was almost them being pincered, turning into a sandwich, but Icon will get to the minion wave, will clear it on out. And at the very least, WE won't just instantly collapse into the mid lane and take that mid tower, but OMG, they're constantly just having to be reactive.
They will clear this wave. I feel like OMG have been able to hold this structure. They've got no mana right now, however, so back to base for them. The Herald from WE wasn't quite a success. It was actually more of a distraction because they realized that they wanted the mid lane outer as it was being summoned. So Melon, perhaps with a bit of a miscommunication with his team, shockingly, doesn't do the correct move at that time, unfortunately. But yet, OMG, they react well. They were just a hair away from dying for it, however, in that situation. But we are seeing moves from them, at least, to try and prevent. It's all preventative. It's all defensive. The opposite of what we want still.
Rusty, if you were in this situation right now, and say you were the OMG's jungle, or even just anyone at OMG, and you saw that Melon is this sub coming into this roster, of course, doesn't have much playtime with the team, would you be like, we need to exploit Melon as much as we can? We need to go into his jungle, we need to invade whenever we can, every opportunity, or we just play it out like how they are right now?
It feels more philosophical than that, which is weird to say as an answer to you, but you could camp Melon, you could go and gank Melon, but he's the new member of the team, so making him uncomfortable is good, but then you're not making the rest of the team uncomfortable, which is a known quantity of good. Xie just destroys, Xiang just gets destroyed by Xie. What I would do is, I would gank lanes aggressively, where the jungler should be at jungle timings and try and cause an uncomfortable skirmish, like an uncomfortable 2v2, or misposition them on the map, confuse the jungler who is newer to the roster and see how he adapts, test his abilities.
Because the reason I asked that is because so far, like, yes, they've gotten, you know, a decent amount of kills onto Melons. Again, we see the mid lane is duking it out. Is that generally the kills have been maybe in like shallow areas, Melon overextending, he's just like in the wrong place at the wrong time. But so far, it's not been something that they've been exploiting, in the sense that, as you said, being able to create those skirmishes, at least putting WE in an uncomfortable situation. So it's almost like WE have, you know, this chink in the armor, and they're just like, you know what, it's fine. Like, you just carry on.
They can just cover it up with better armor on everywhere else on the body, it seems, and a giant sword in front of the weakness. That is currently Mystic in this game. Xie also having a fantastic set so far, so a lot of this compensatory. And if this is how WE is going to play with a jungler like Melon available, it makes you wonder when Condi comes back,
what they look like,
how good WE will be as a result. Yeah.
And this is exactly what we're looking towards through this split as well, is what are WE now the best team? Will they be able to challenge, you know, the top teams? Will it just be another EDG Spring Split in which they win? Like, that's a great question to ask, especially as they look towards OMG, and if they get the 2-0, which we haven't spoken much about WE because we haven't needed to, but they've just played a classic WE game.
It just makes this a very solid start to the split for them, and this is what you want to see from Team WE, the slow reserve play with solid patches of aggression here and there, and taking those fights and being aggressive at the correct moments. And
I feel
like
like
that's
a
what
weather
they're doing.
forecast. It's like, you know, patches of aggression here and there. We've got a southeasterly wind.
Chance of rain.
Chance of Mystic going off.
Cloudy with a chance of popping off Cassidons.
That's pretty much what this has been.
It's raining melons as well for OMG.
It is raining melons. Many of them are hitting OMG in the head. And eventually this mid tower is going to fall.
Yeah, that's the next step for WE, and I guess that's something that we should actually take a second to talk about as well. The mid lane outer has to fall so that they're completely unlocked. They've got a teleport Cassidon, they've got 131 as a very real capability. Xiang cannot fight Cassidon. It has to be Ryze that matches the 1v1. So there is very easy scenarios where you place 131s in uncomfortable spots for OMG to force control of the map in your favor. OMG obviously are aware of this fact, and they don't want the 131 to start, they want it to stop before it starts.
She is level 15 right now. That's a level 11 and a level 14.
Something's up.
He knows it.
He doesn't know exactly what is up, but something is up.
Now he's actually going to the minion wave icon. Not in range for the Rune Prison, nor the follow-up from World 6, and all that time essentially wasted from OMG.
World 6 didn't even try. This has been really disappointing so far from the Jarvan of OMG. My expectations were needlessly high. I will be the first to admit that. But he hasn't really done anything. In fact, he is 0-2-2. They still want Xie. Let's
World
see how
6
he
is
goes.
a big fan of these repeat ganks. Here comes the Riftwalk, the knock-up, the Cataclysm as well. Xie, another Riftwalk coming in. Icon should be able to get a range on this one. Forced the flash from Xie. But all of that time was just for a flash.
And WE walks straight over to the Baron buff like, alright, you want to continue to gank our bottom lane Cassidon who has teleport? We'll just start off the major objective. Kalista doesn't lose health, Sejuani doesn't lose health. Nah does it very quickly with compliments of a Blade of the Ruined King from Kalista too.
I mean, OMG, they've got to get in there right now. They know it's happening, but they didn't particularly beeline it towards the Baron. Kalista gets a free Ren, and now they turn onto OMG as well. Great knockup from World 6, but the jungler flashes away. Meanwhile, World 6 has got a bunch of Ren stacks in him. Chelly goes down to Xie, who's just bobbing and weaving through the fight. He's going to get another kill onto World 6. And now it's Cassidon time, ladies and gentlemen. 5 getting caught out as well. There's the triple kill. Icon under the tower. Make it the quadra kill.
Easy 4 kills for the mid laner of Team WE. Now he's going to tick over to 16. Everything just goes sunshine and rainbows for the team with Baron buff running it down the middle lane right now. And they continue past that mid lane outer. They're going to push down the base. What are OMG meant to do in response to this? They desperately looked at a fight. No fight to be seen.
Nothing, Rusty. Absolutely nothing. 2 towers fall. 5 members on the side of OMG and WE. They'll just back it up. I mean, there's nothing to take. They've already taken the Baron, so we'll just go back to base, get ready to rumble once more, and we'll see that team fight as it unfolds.
And this is the person that you're going to have to look at. Xie zones very well. 957 has been crowd controlling pretty much everybody the entire time. He's locked them down, but no one can escape a Cassidon. Once again, presence of mind. Important summoner spell. Xie's gone into precision in his secondary tree. Look at his mana bar, and look at the lack of mana that is going down currently because he gets resets. He's the modern day version of AP Tristana.
True. Very, very true.
Destroys everybody.
That's absolutely absurd. And he ends the team fight with full mana as well, because that's Cassidon with presence of mind in team fights. Holy moly, WE have just broken the game wide open. Already they had control, but that's the one moment that you would look at this game and be like, this is probably where OMG, if they do lose this game, lost this game.
And I know you might be wondering, how did WE find the opportunity to just do a Baron for free and win a team fight? Well, World 6 wanted to gank bottom lane. And then he decided, you know what? Yeah, once isn't enough. I'm going to gank bottom lane again. And they gave the opportunity to WE. The opportunity was there. It was a glaring, gaping hole. And they just took it. And it was easy.
And that's been the problem with World 6, because I think he gets locked into his... He's hardwired, right? He's got programming and he does it every single time. Like, he went top lane, didn't work, or gank again. And he went there 4 times in the early game. Didn't work bot lane, no worries. We'll go for another one. And that's just what World 6 does.
Strategically, it's not bad, right, Pulse? If you're playing a game and someone flashes, go back to that lane and punish them for not having flash. But they didn't even get a flash the first time. He just ulted away. And then they got a flash the second time. but WE got a Baron buff. So whilst the ideas are there from World 6, whilst it feels like what he's doing is acceptable, it's not in the broader sense of they're against a good team who will punish them.
Yeah. He is the broken record in the jungle, and sometimes it works out because you get the kill, you get the tower, fantastic, you snowballed the game, but against a good team like WE, they know you're coming back, World 6. They're going to play defensively.
World 6 screams, "Witness me," as he spray paints his face and runs back bottom lane a second time.
Exactly. And now the mid tower will be falling to WE, and this looks a whole lot like last game, as where did the AD carry go? Chelly falls, as does World 6. Mid inhibitor about to fall on top of that. And I think WE might just win the game right here.
They're just going to keep on pushing down the middle lane. OMG have to try and clear the wave, but it's very hard to do. Mystic, he wants to end.
Melon, he's leading the charge, and that was a big force pulse. First kill goes over to Mystic, second one as well, and Xiang, last one on the spawn pad, gets all of his health back via Hemo Plague, but his entire team, unfortunately, he can't get that one back. Second Nexus turret falls, and Mystic, he's going in. Go on, tank the Nexus turret for me, Ben. Get in there. I want this final kill. Nexus will fall, and Team WE, a 2-0 dominant win over OMG.
And dominant is the way to describe this set, Pulse. At no moment did it look like Team WE were going to lose. OMG absolute control of nothing in that set. Not even a single moment did it feel like OMG had something. They got a kill, and then they would get another single kill. W would take the objective and everything they own. Very clean stuff for the first set of Team W in 2018.
I want to say World 6. And WE will just marching over, get those handshakes, and take the well-deserved bow in just a second, because that's the WE we wanted to see, essentially. They didn't have to try very hard for it, which is my only qualm about this set, but, I mean, hey, if the gameplay is as tight as that, and we see Connie come back into the team as well, we'll see what they look like further down the line against some of the other top teams.
And they did all of that with a fruit in the jungle as well, so it's very impressive stuff from this side, and a well-deserved bow for Melon in particular, as he gets the team fighting award from me, but not so much the single-man jungling award. He was out of position a little bit there, and did show some signs of being a rookie coming. And he's known as a Gragas player, so a bit uncomfortable with Gragas not being in meta. He's a famous streamer. Now he gets to stretch his wings and try his hand on the big stage.
But he did it when it counts, right? Because if you're a Sejuani, you want to make it happen in those team fights. And if he's good in the team fights, then hey, you did a good job. And when you're surrounded by a team like WE, who have the synergy that a team like this in this day and age has, then that's all you need to be. You don't necessarily have to be going balls to the wall constantly. You don't have to show off your Lee Sin and how good that one is. You just need to be there in the team fights, and that's exactly what he did. Team WE take the win.
Yeah, pretty spot on. The way that this played out is he just needed to not be a liability, not be the reason that they lost the set, and you'd be successful.
Yeah. However, welcome Raz. Hello. You're on the desk now. How you going?
I'm doing well. I mean, that was a pretty calm, collected WE, even without Connie. You already mentioned it. Talked about Melon kind of joining the first game competitively, and it looked good for him because his one-track mind was the mid lane, and I think that was a great choice.
Yep, 100%. We can take a look at the stats. Very, very similar goal graph to game one. Almost identical, in fact.
Yep. And that's where I think Raz is correct. He said the word calm. And that actually, I felt like I was David Attenborough watching that game, honestly. It just felt all too simple, rudimentary, like playing basic League of Legends. They got a lead, and then bam, there's your spike at 25 minutes.
Yeah, and honestly, it felt like it started just because the mid lane was just a focal point throughout the entire series. It started in game one, or at least we saw what happened, how hard it was for Icon to kind of get back into it. And then game two, it felt like the same story because Sejuani started red side jungle. We don't get to see that a lot from any jungler, honestly. And then he found himself getting into the mid lane from the bot side, which really caught Icon off guard, gets a free kill. So immediately it just feels difficult from there because Cassidy got a kill for himself. And then I felt like from that point forward, Melon had a very strong control, kind of linking the mid lane's new strength towards the bottom lane.
And while that was identified, Icon, I feel like, was a problem in that game for OMG. I mean, nothing really happened around the mid lane. Game one, they leave the Zoe open, he plays the Azir, he gets wrecked, okay. But then you move into game two and you're like, okay, no, Icon, how are you going to come back? What are you going to do in the second game? Where's the roaming going to happen from this rise?
And the thing with Icon, though, that is important is I don't think he played exceptionally. Like, don't get me wrong, Icon was okay. He did his role, he was okay. Even in the Azir game in game number 1, he was just okay. But it's what he's up against that was the biggest problem. Firstly, Xie was a monster.
Yes.
He was destroying everybody. And then the Sejuani you mentioned, ganks mid lane. In the first game as well, pressure towards the middle lane just from the champion picks. And I feel like a lot of this comes back more fundamentally to not Icon playing bad, to more the team not giving him anything, not setting him up to succeed.
Yeah, and Xie will actually take man of the match in this one with his casters, and I have to feel, I wonder what play it was. The one that really nested in this one, probably the one in the mid lane when he killed everybody and got the quadra kill.
Yeah, you got a lot of kills on that one. And the most hilarious one in that one is you go into the precision tree, you have presence of mind, and you just don't run out of mana when to keep resetting kills.
Yep.
That's beautiful. I just love that from it.
Don't need a Morello's anymore.
Exactly. And just to touch on the earlier talk you were talking about, how was the play going to be made against this team when you have an Abyssal Mask mid laner? How are you going to be able to kill a Kassadin that's going to be able to get out of that situation? You go towards the bottom side. We saw a bottom lane gank happen. It turned on OMG immediately, just because you have a Tahm Kench to deal with. And you know, or at least the Kalista, when she has her stacks being just thrown at you, you either die or it's so hard for OMG to find an opening when they were that far behind.
And they're doing that from draft. And that's the thing. With the Vladimir and Arise in the composition and giving the counter pick to Xie, very much deserved MVP.
Yes.
But he's also allowed to be that MVP by being able to pick Kassadin, build Abyssal Mask, and do all of these easier things than it otherwise would be.
Yeah, and it's not like OMG didn't try to make plays, because we saw the desperation play on the bottom side of the map. 2v1, try and get the kill onto Kassadin, didn't work, and you lose a Baron from it.
Yeah, but it was just over and over and over again. Worlds, it was just like, surely this time will be the time that it works, and it was never that time. World, WE just managed to do it every single time and stop him in his tracks. We are going to take a quick break, guys, but when we get back, we're coming at you with an interview with 957 and Clement. Stay tuned for that.
Hello and welcome to Shanghai, where we just finished the game between WE and OMG. We're here with the victor, WE's top laner 957. Can you say hello to everyone? 你可以跟大家打个招呼吗？
大家好，我是 WE 上单957。
Okay, thank you. So my first question is, WE just got their 6,000th kill in the LPL, and we saw a beautiful quadra kill here coming out from Xie. I want to ask 957 what he feels about this milestone. 957，你们刚刚的话是已经拿到队史在 LPL 第6000次的击杀，而且刚刚我们也看到西叶有一个非常华丽的一个4连杀，你对这一些里程碑有什么样的看法？
队史6000杀的话，确实嘛，因为我们队从 S1 开始就有了嘛，就打的时间比较久。然后西叶4杀那波的话，主要那波我们已经打完大龙了，然后位置也很好，他绕后了，所以。那波我们是肯定能团赢的。
So 957 says that, well, we've been around for a really, really long time. We've been here from season 1, so getting a lot of kills, that's just kind of what we do right now. As for that quadra kill, we were in a really good position around the Baron pit, and Xie had a really beautiful flank from in behind, and he just mopped up a really good quadra kill right there. No, so my second question for 957 is that we've seen in these games, a lot of times you have to kind of fill in that blue-collar role in the top lane as an R. There's people constantly ganking you, and we know this is kind of your play style on WE. Can you tell us how you manage to do that day in and day out? 就其实这个系列赛看下来的话，其实你在上路受到非常非常的多的一个关注，你的纳尔前期都一直在一个抗压的一个状态。那整体你在 W 这个体系下面，似乎也都是扮演这样的一个角色。你可以跟我们讲一下你这种游戏的大致上的一个思维是什么吗？
也不一定是每场抗压吧，因为也是看阵容的。如果阵容就可能中路啊或者下路啊发育起来就能赢的话，上路是可以牺牲一点的。然后也有没有抗压的时候。
So 957 says it sometimes comes a lot to your composition. It's not always that I'm under pressure in the top lane, but for these games, yeah, I had to sacrifice a little just so my team could get the necessary resources that they need to carry, but it really does come down mostly to compositions. My final question for you, 957, is that this is a brand new season here, 2018. Can you tell us about where W is going and maybe your goals this season? 那最后一个问题，我想问的就是，这是一个全新的一个赛季，我们2018。那 W 作为一个团队的话，有什么样的目标想要去挑战的吗？
每个人的目标的话，赛季的话，肯定都是想要拿到就最好的那个位置嘛，冠军嘛。
那你自己有没有什么个人的目标可以跟我们分享？
我个人的目标也一样，这是大家的目标。
So for our goals as the entire team, that we definitely want that championship slot in the spring split. And I asked 957 about his own personal goals, and he said, my goals are the same as the team. We are going to be the champions. So that's it for the interview. We're going to go into break, and don't go away. We still have a next series between FPX and Snake.
Welcome back to the LPL, everyone. On your screen, you see Shanghai, but keep your eyes tuned because we are about to jump to a brand new stadium, a brand new arena. Chongqing is going to be hitting your screens in just a moment for our next matchup, Snake versus FPX. My name is Dominic Dom Romer. We've got Clement Chu here with us. You just saw him on that excellent interview with 957. And Clement, we're just hot swapping you on the desk. We're keeping you going back and forth.
No
but
problem.
now let's turn our attention towards this next matchup because this is FPX versus Snake. This looks to be pretty hype. I mean, a lot of people are talking about these two teams teams being middle of the table, I think there's a chance that today one of them could rise above to become a higher tier team.
Okay, so both of these teams, I think they have one thread in common right now, is that they've both pushed EDG to the brink of losing. We saw Snake versus EDG in the Demacia finals. They were up ahead, up 12K in one game, and they were up ahead in 3 of the 4 games. Still didn't manage to defeat them, but they were pretty close. FPX, also in the same week, we saw them take EDG to the brink in game 1. Still didn't manage to close it in. But from that saying alone, I feel like both of these teams can be pretty good teams.
So then I want you to level with me real quick. Eye to eye here.
All right.
Which of these 2 teams is the better? Because like you said, both of these teams took EDG to the limit, but ultimately failed. How do we know which one of these 2 is going to be more successful?
Personally, you know, I'm a Snake fan. I said that on day 1. I do give Snake a little edge in the matchup, especially mid lane. Both of these mid laners are relatively new. We haven't seen much of Bing. Guoguo only played 5 games last split, but so far, I feel like Guoguo is just a better match for Snake this far, but there's a lot of matchups that can definitely go back and forth, and we can break that down one by one.
Absolutely.
I think for the top lane, Gimgoon, a huge hype player up in GT. He's going against Flandre, another big player. The big matchups we're going to see is who's really going to take those Camille and Ornn matchups. We see that every single team has banned Camille against Snake just because they're so afraid of Flandre in the top lane, while Gimgoon's actually a bit chill. He can go Gnar and Gangplank into anything.
Of course, that being said, like you just mentioned the Gnar, the Gangplank, he's comfortable blind picking these champions, taking them all across the map. Gimgoon, I personally, he's one of Pulse's favorite champions. I enjoy watching him play just as much, nowhere near as much as Pulse, though.
He's a player, by the way.
Absolutely. But looking towards this matchup, we're expecting these top lane picks and bans to really affect it, but knowing that Zoe's open, knowing that Azir is so strong, Vladimir, do you really see how that could, I guess, affect the pick and ban with this many champions available?
Well, if we're going to talk about the pick and bans, because I just started from the top lane because we're doing like matchups, about the pick and bans, I think the most important thing is who's going to pick up the Kog'Maw composition if they're going to let it open, because we know that FPX bot lane, we see LWX, highest DPM player in the LPL last split. He was a huge Kog'Maw player. He's definitely gonna go for that. We saw EDG was also banning Janna against him, so they're definitely very aware that this might be something FPX will play. Now, if they play it, if they let it through, then Snake also has the Kalista, they have the Alistar and the Zac to go against it. So I think that's a really interesting dynamic. We're gonna see pretty much in the first rotation if they're going to let it through, if they have a counter, or they're just going to say, okay, we're not going to play you that match.
And of course, not to mention the fact that Snake are playing against the bottom lane of the team that kicked them out of the LPL Summer Finals. LWX and Chris from Newbie, previously of this last split, now on FPX here. And while it is still only 2 players, I like to imagine, like, if I saw them in solo queue, I would like to go hard and gank that lane as much as possible. And SOFM isn't exactly a chill guy.
Definitely, definitely. Now, this is a bit of a grudge matchup for that bot lane over there, and I'd say just for the playoffs, the FPX's bot lane has definitely got a leg up. In their first matching, actually, LWX did 4 times the damage that
was it Crystal back then in
playoffs?
Yeah,
Crystal. That what Crystal was able to dish out. But I wouldn't say it's like completely his problem. For the bot lane, I actually feel like there's a very large contrast in styles. You have LWX, who is more of a Kog'Maw Ezreal player, while you have Crystal, who's going to try to push the tempo a little bit. We've seen his picks as mainly being Kalista and Varus, and also that he could bring out the Draven.
There it is.
Because Draven it kind of embodies what Snake is. You know, they're willing to think outside the box. They're very innovative, and it's so much tied up into their history. Now, Crystal was from the team in 2014, and they made it from the TGA into the LSPL with that Draven pick. I believe he picked up like 16 kills or something really crazy.
It is a legacy pick for the team.
Yes, it's part of their history now.
But of course, they're going to have to move forward because 2018 is a very new season. Bringing it back towards the picks and bans, we've seen so much changes in the meta, in how people are playing all sorts of these things. Even Vigar showing up in the LCK, like anything goes right now. And Snake, as you mentioned, a very innovative team. Could we see something crazy? Could we see something new with Snake on the map? We just might.
Yeah, we just might. And another thing I want to mention is that neither of these mid laners have been playing Zoe. So if someone has a secret Zoe pick, this series is the series we're going to see it. The big ban pick picture, we should look at, okay, are they going to let Kog'Maw through or are they going to let Ezreal through? If they let Kog'Maw through, we're probably going to see Zac. We're probably going to see Alistar, Kalista be really prominent in this matchup. If they let the Ezreal through, now Crystal has said personally, like, I'm not really afraid of the Ezreal. I got my MF. I got my Draven if need be. So I think there's a really interesting dynamic there. But for FPX, mainly their ban picks is we get our big 80 carries, we build the protection comp first, and Gimgoon can, you know, he can play whatever.
Yeah.
Just leave it in the top lane.
He's Gimgoon. He's pretty comfortable. I think another fun matchup looking at for these two is not just the players in the lanes, how they match up themselves, but also the play styles. Because FPX, when we saw them play against EDG, their game one, it was very swift. It was very decisive. They were moving all across the map, making intelligent macro plays that had even EDG stammering for the first few minutes of that game. Whereas Snake, in LPL Summer, they had some of the best early games in the entire league if you just cut it off at the 15-minute mark.
So pretty much these two teams, we're going to be looking at the junglers for the early game. I was very impressed with Pepper. I think he's the best Jarvan we've seen so far in the LPL. His early game
that's
EQs.
a bold statement.
Well, he hits every EQ early game.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know how he does it, but he's very, very good at it.
Well, you can see on your screen the grand unveiling of Snake's new arena live from Chongqing. We're bringing you the action here from our caster station in Shanghai, streaming out all across the globe, and the inaugural battle to break it down. Fun plus Phoenix trying to bring down Snake in their home turf. Can they do what Jingdong did to LGD just a few days ago?
Yeah, like the fans in Chongqing Stadium must be very hyped. Now, Chongqing is one of the major cities here in China, part of the Sichuan province where Sichuan sauce is made, so it's actually very important. And this is going to be one of their first, I believe it's the first game in their stadium. A lot of hype building up here. We can see the screen is actually styled in their logo.
Yeah, that's pretty spectacular.
Like
it's going to be really hyped to see how awesome the crowd is going to be for this. Of course, FPX, you can see they're smiling, they're getting ready. It's not that far of a flight from Shanghai where they played earlier this week. It's only about 3 hours as LWX and Crisp bobbing up and down, looking nice and happy as they get ready for this matchup. But let's go ahead and run through. We haven't even introduced everyone yet. First up, it is Fun plus Phoenix. Gimgoon in the top lane, Pepper, previously known as Ehan, in the jungle, Bing in the mid with LWX and Crisp bringing up the bottom lane.
And for Snake, we can see here Flandre in the top lane, Sofem jungler, Guoguo, their new mid laner, Crystal, and Hu Die in the bot lane.
And that's going to be quite an exciting matchup. Crystal trying to bring down LWX and Crisp 4 times as much damage in a single game. I mean, we look at some of these stats and, you can keep your glasses on. I think they look nice.
Okay.
We'll talk about that a little bit later. But like Crystal, he's just so aggressive in that bottom lane, trying to look for the sort of picks onto LWX, who likes to play these Kog'Maws. So perhaps we could see him get a bit aggressive in that bottom lane, especially when you've got SOFM trying to get in there.
We can talk more a little bit about what Snake is known for here in the LPL. They're known as the 20-minute SKT team because they have such good early games, but then everything falls apart. So we see Snake here, first ban, just throwing out the Kog'Maw. They're not going to risk it. They're probably going to opt to play into the Ezreal compositions right here. On the other side, FPX, they know Snake's tendency. They know they're an early game powerhouse. They're going to take away the Kalista, and let me get my glasses on for their first ban.
Of course. That's going to be the Kalista and Alistar banned away by FPX, so disabling some of the safety for Crystal and Hu Die. And like you said, that Kog'Maw banned away. Jarvan also going to be stricken away from Pepper. You were lauding it just a few minutes ago. I'd be surprised if we got to see that throughout the course of this series. And Guoguo, he's losing that Azir. You yourself were talking to me about the before the game about how powerful and almost ever-present Azir has been for Guoguo.
Yeah, so for Snake, I feel like they want the Rise a little bit more. So we can see what FPX is doing right here. They're taking, they're basically the two biggest mid laners, Azir and Rise. They're banning away one, and they're taking another one for themselves. This is quite a huge blow to Snake, actually, because I feel like their Rise enables a lot of their compositions. It's kind of a semi-form of engage from them as well. So they're much better with the Rise and the Azir. They're taking both of them off the table right here. So it's kind of a question of like what Guoguo really plays right now, because we haven't seen that many games on him. Again, only 5 games last split. This Vladimir could be a flex pick to the mid lane.
Really?
That is one of his picks that we've seen.
Okay. Guoguo, of course, a fan of those control mages. When he did play this past split in the summer for those 5 games, SOFM, as ever, going to be on that Kha'Zix. Huge objective control, powerful invade all over the map. Ooh, but I like this from Pepper. You want to leap into my jungle? Well, we'll just squash you like the bug you are, taking Graves if he decides to lock it in.
This is a very interesting pick. But he changed it out at the last second, so he's going to go Camille instead in the top lane. Now, this pick has been, it's so far 100% win rate in the LPL. We saw an amazing game from Amazing Jay on Tuesday right there, going 2-0. And the reason is that she really doesn't have any bad matchups in the top lane anymore. She doesn't run out of mana. You can bring your Doran's Blade into the top lane. Now you go Mana Flow Band and with the Comet as well. The traditional counter matchup to Camille, it's mainly in Korea we see Gangplank being picked here, but you could also go for things like Jax and Riven that can kind of beat her out just because Camille has a utility ultimate at 6 while these others do damage at level 6. So right now, going back, Snake is not going into the flex pick, it seems. Going to go instead for the Malzahar.
Yeah, Malzahar now locked in for Guo. There was Zoe available, but deciding instead to take that Malzahar in the mid lane. We'll have to keep an eye on those masteries for both the Malzahar and the the runes, to see how that affects the matchups as they go into this. But now looking forward, we're still looking at the bottom lane from Snake. Crystal and Hootie both need their picks, and we're still looking at LWX, and I believe that's Pepper in the jungle missing at, so Sejuani already banned away. Snake, they've got their priorities straight.
Yeah, this does look like FPX is probably setting up a Tristana pick right here. They're getting the Taric in there. He can protect in team fights and also like keep your hyper carries alive. And right now we're seeing like staggering ban picks in the first phase. So FPX has a chance to target out most of the supports right now. If they're going to go for a hyper carry, I do expect them to probably take out Leona as well, just so that that lane can go a bit more smoothly.
And now with that Tom Kench and what appears to be Vayne banned away from LWX, we're looking at the final ban for this game 1 between FPX and Snake. 2 supports, 1 AD, and 1 mid laner. How do FPX try to round this out? Because they don't get this next pick. This is up to Snake right after this ban here.
Yeah, we've rarely seen ban picks where we don't see any AD carries in the top 3 picks. 2 tanky supports being banned out right now. This is interesting because Snake, we have seen them kind of hold on to their AD carry picks and go for something crazy, wait for a counter pick, and they will take up the Draven challenge if it really presents itself.
But the Draven blind, that's a bold statement, especially in your home arena.
Yeah.
Game 1 of 2018. Or perhaps sticking to something a bit more stock standard, something more Snake style, that Ezreal.
Yeah, so for Snake, my thing with them is that a lot of times they don't play like kiting team fights very well. It's not a back or out question for them. It's just how deep are we going? So when I see these compositions, like it doesn't really fit their style that well. What they might be looking to do is like just crush the mid game team fights with Vladimir and that Malzahar Kha'Zix combo. And we do see the FPX go for the Tristana, as I kind of predicted right there. They need a hyper carry. That's kind of their play style. So,
do you reckon that the Tristana is now reactionary, seeing the composition of Snake, knowing, hey, they're going to try to go all in on us in that mid game. We need the Taric. We need the Camille for disengage. We need the Tristana to knock people away. And now Lee Sin.
Yeah, they're definitely thinking about the disengage right here. So the main things that they want to avoid is having Vladimir go into the team fight too deep. Because what Vladimir is really good right now is that he can play mid-game team fights way too well than he could before. Now with Unsealed Spellbook as a norm and also going Frost Queen's Claim for the extra move speed, he can move into those enemy compositions very easily. So you really need ways that can push him out. So for Tristana is a great pick because you can just use your R whenever he comes in. If he's not pulled already, you just blow him out of the team fight and say, you gotta wait a little while, okay? I gotta get my damage out. Lee Sin also kind of the same effect as well here. So really good setup from FPX.
Not to mention, we've seen so many great combos from Tristana's where they drop the explosive shot, they charge it up to full, then they fire an auto and use the buster shot at the same time to get the big burst of damage and knock them back. So FPX, with their composition all set up, they've got some scaling, they've got some mobility around the map, they've got some disengage, but Snake on the other side, they're doing just traditional Snake things.
Yeah,
they're going in. The question is, how far?
This is a pretty interesting composition for them. For most of the time, we've actually seen Guoguo. He was kind of absorbing pressure in the mid lane, but in this game, Guoguo really needs to step it up. He needs to to get a lot of early picks with Sofem to really snowball this composition. If it goes to the late game, I feel like with the Tristana's range and with Lee Sin there and with Camille's ability to kind of split push and like section the team fights very well, they're going to have a hard time really getting all of their damage onto FPX's backline here.
Yeah, so we're about to get into the game. Looks like Snake versus FPX. You just saw the coaches shake hands, ready to head backstage. That is a massive screen. That has got to be so awesome for the fans in the arena to be able to check that out. I mean, I know I'm here in Shanghai. Our screen is pretty big, but I don't know if it's quite that big. But this is looking to be a big matchup. Snake, their first game of 2018 here in the LPL. They had a strong showing just a few weeks ago in the Demacia Cup, going all the way to the finals, only to be shot down at the last second. Is 2018 their year? Can they look past that first hurdle and recover, or will they fall to the newcomers of Fun Plus Phoenix?
Looking at the win rates, last split they were actually 11th, only 34% in the win column right there. But they've never given up hope. Whenever you ask about them what their goals are, they're always going to tell you, we're going to finals.
Yeah,
we're going to finals.
We're going all the way.
Even though that, it drew a lot of laughs and ridicule from the fans here, but they've always kept that spirit. A large thing that's going in, a big narrative that's going for Snake is the maturation of their players. Flandre, when he became pro at 15 years old.
Listen to the fans. Snake representing Jai-O, absolutely. And now 60 seconds on. They're still going.
Yep. FPX going in here. They have the Camille, so this is a very strong level 1 here with the E.
Yeah, of course, they have been spotted out by Award. So FPX, I mean, they're just setting some early dominance, it looks like. Gimgoon going to walk forward, spotting out Flandre. And I actually want to get into this matchup because Froskuren is very passionate about the Camille and the Vladimir right now. I know you have also had many conversations with her. What is it that makes Camille so strong right now in the top lane?
Well, to be honest, Comet is one big thing, and the mana cost reduced on her is huge also. Let's look at this the fight happening right on screen.
We might have to get back to that conversation. A good shadow dash is going to catch Gimgoon. He's walking away. That will be heal used as Gimgoon flashes the fat wall to escape. And Pepper just going to zone it away. And it looks like SOFM, despite the invade, is still going to get to start off with his red buff.
Yep, Snake moving 4 people on the map against FPX 3, so we might see a bit of a disadvantage in the bot lane for Crystal right now, but they do manage to secure the top side of their map. And this is going to have huge implications for Pepper. We know that FPX really relies on him to start their early game. If he's going to go to his buff 15 seconds behind schedule, this is not very good news for them.
SOFM happily clearing away, as he is wont to do. His favorite camp in the whole world, Raptors, is going to be his second morsel after that red buff. And I'm sure soon after we'll get the chance to see him invade because he absolutely loves doing that. But as you said, the bottom lane, it was a 2 versus 1. Crystal was hugging his turret as Hootie was on the other side of the map. He's going to be taking just a bit of harass from LWX, but not missing too many CS.
Going for him.
Yeah, good buffered rocket jump gets him to safety.
Yeah, that's the thing about rocket jump. When you start it, you cannot be CC'd, so a lot of skilled Tristana players will actually time the jump correctly. Once you're in the air, though, you are vulnerable.
Buffering that animation, a very crucial skill as SOFM. He's getting pretty low health here, down to 100. Able to get just a bit back as Hootie gets another shadow dash. Oh, that's the ignite as well. The buster shot. This could be first blood as there's the heal, and LWX says welcome to 2018.
All right, that was definitely over-aggressive right there. We don't know if he took his the resolve, but...
Oh, and the flash lands the Sonic Wave. Following it up, FPX are exerting dominance. Red buff ticking away. Pepper. Oh, the smite! Oh, and the ward missed for Pepper. SOFM survives.
Oh, so despite Pepper having a bad early start, he's still able to catch out Kha'Zix and beat him out. I feel like Hootie went a little bit too far in. You know, usually in solo queue, you see your Aftershock Shens, but in the professional scene where you want your teleport on the Shen, I feel like he miscalculated how much he could tank right there. And also, he was level 2, so probably did not have the Spirit's Refuge. That's just a massive miscalculation there from Hootie, going in far too deep too early.
And the fact that we're seeing FPX so aggressive in the jungle, in the bottom lane, even in the top lane, Gimgoon is shoving as hard as he can. They really want to make a statement against this. I mean, their set against EDG was only a few days ago. If they continue to play like this, Snake might be out of their depth.
Yeah, that was it's a kind of a weird sequence of events from Hudia right there. Now, Shen is a very popular pick. It's one of the main reasons you don't see any range supports in your solo queue anymore. He got buffed massively by the preseason, got 15% attack speed instead of armor, and also the removal of magic defense runes really buffed up his damage quite a bit. So, you know, I think he was just thinking like, I'm playing solo queue, I have my aftershock
Tiny
in my
mistake.
ignite.
Yeah, tiny mistake. Well, this mistake on his home stage in front of a crowd that loud and that vocal, he's going to have to get himself back into the zone here, recenter himself, because again, we're talking about Snake as a team having to mature and get past their mistakes and get past the problems that have plagued them for so long. Well, we're 5 minutes into the game now, and FPX, they've set a strong pace. We'll see if they continue to do so or if Snake will be able to slow them down. Here, Bing is just happily farming away. You can see Guo just using, I believe that's Minion Dematerializer there on that Malzahar. That's very efficient clear on him.
Yeah, we're seeing this really often on the Malzahar. You can start clearing once your 155-second cooldown is off. You can just kind of balance the wave out. It works really well when you don't have to use your E on a cannon minion and wait for it to slowly die. You can just make it disappear, so that's great for lane. We've been seeing this a lot. In this matchup, typically the Ryze will be able to outpush early, but later on, you know, he's Malzahar, doesn't matter. He can kind of get that lane to equalize. And in the late game, Malzahar is actually considered a good matchup into the Ryze.
Take a look at this. Pepper on
just
the
going in on it.
Yeah, doesn't even care. He's even a level down over SOFM right now, who went for the straight Ranger's trinket, the warding smite, so that he can get some vision, try to keep himself safe from this very bloodthirsty Lee Sin.
Yeah, and that's what I love about Pepper. You know, he's a spicy player. If you look at his Jarvan, he also builds Zhonya's. Yeah, so he's going like full in, like all the, and he always goes Black Cleaver as well.
Yeah, is this a consistent build, or is this like a solo queue? I want to style on these fools because I got extra kills.
Well, he doesn't want to go tank items. That's basically it. He's like, nah, I'm going full offensive no matter what the situation is. We really haven't seen him gone into the Cinderhawk build yet. He's pretty much Black Cleaver locked in there. And he's just, I might as well go damage, and if someone's going to hit me, I'm just going to, you know, style on them and get Zhonya's.
Well, we've already had one phenomenal Lee Sin play here in the LPL. It's hard to believe we're only 4 days in, and Flawless has already put together a highlight reel that would make other pros jealous. So perhaps Pepper's trying to build one of his own.
So what we should be looking here is that Snake has finally managed to get to level 6. What we should be starting seeing is the Malzahar and the Kha'Zix combo coming in right now. Ryze does not have cleanse, so that would make him a prime target for that.
That was just a teleport into the mid lane from Bing. He does have Unsealed Spellbook. Pepper is soloing Infernal Dragon.
Yep, he's set up vision very well for that.
Very quick.
Yeah, has a pushing bot lane, so I think this is all pre-planned. Very good call for him right now. Just building up the mishaps of Snake in the bot lane.
That will be Pepper taking away that Infernal Dragon. Already the scaling team is starting to pad themselves with some extra stats to make that late game even more potent.
All right, here comes the play. It's the level 6 combo of Snake. We see Sofem moving into the blue. They've also prepped this play here. Let's see if they can get the 2v2 down. Pepper's still a bit away, so might have to take a while to form.
Yeah, Bing is looking to solo his blue buff. Pepper is on the way. SOFM did take Evolve Q for increased isolation damage. He's not going to see this. Smite steals it away. He says, you invade my jungle? No. That's not how this works. This is my house.
Okay, that forces that out. That means that they can have a more pushing pressure in the middle with Guo. He should get his blue buff right now. It's already up. They're probably going to transition over there, and that's going to give the pushing advantage to Snake. I'm really interested in what they're going to do with that. Probably move to the bottom side of the map, see if they can get that Shen thing going.
Yeah, we do see the recall from that bottom lane of LWX and Crisp. Zeal and the upgraded Targons. Face of the mountain he's working towards.
Yep. And
on the other side, there's the Manamune for Crystal, so standard mid-game power troughs from both of these two. That's actually the PF sword as well, out of LWX.
Yeah, exactly. Some big damage time there.
Yeah.
So FPX needs to be careful about the plays they make in the top side of the map right now. They always have to be careful because they have a Shen on the other side of the map. So I think most of the action will be centered around the bot lane after Snake gets the pushing advantage, and FPX, they're going to be worried about that Shen stand united. So both teams are most likely going to be looking for that bot lane for the plays in the next 5 to 6 minutes.
Well, tragically, there's no dragon for them to fight over, as Pepper already declared dominance over that. And it seems as right now, Snake, they're looking for a fight, but they might not be able to find one. FPX, like you said, they're just sitting back. They've got the tier catalyst on Rise for additional scaling. Still no big completed items. Sheen for Gimgoon is going to allow him to get some big Q2s as, ooh, Pepper spots Hootie. Flash, kick, and the Sonic Wave. Eats a Shadow Dash. That's another one. Crisp is looking for the stun, trying to get the cooldown on that Dazzle. Hootie already flashed and the Ignite. They are running him down. That's a great stopwatch. Here comes Snake. FPX might have gone too deep. They drop the sunglasses and say, deal with it, Snake, as they chase down their second kill and dive a tier 2. 2 turrets deep. Who's going to juggle the aggro on this one? It's Crisp, and FPX get out.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter if you have the mid lane push when you're against a Rise. You just Realmort, cut off Malzahar's pathing right there. Also, I think FPX managed to figure out that Kha'Zix was on the top side of the map, so they were very, very aggressive with that play there.
And this has been a big struggle for Snake, making sure that SOFM is in the right place at the right time. And now that he's on that top side of the map, the 4-man invade, that's going to be first brick. Here's that play again.
Yeah, we can see that actually FPX didn't have vision in the side of the map, but they were still willing to go very deep onto the Houdier right there. Not much Houdier could do after the flash went down. Malzahar trying to come in, but Rise is also there as well. Sees the teleport, and Gogo knows that this fight is over. He needs to back out.
In fact, that's all 5 members. Even Gimgoon shows up as Pepper with the stylish Zanya's kick. I think I've seen that in a highlight reel a few times. Picking up the 3rd kill now for FPX. And this playstyle, this specific game, to me reminds me of the game we saw from FPX against EDG. They took a lot of early kills. They took some pretty early objectives. Now they just need to do what they couldn't against EDG and actually close out. That being said, it's still very early on. 11.5 minutes in, only 1,000 gold up.
Yeah, and this is a very good transition for FPX right now. They have the pushing power advantage over Ezreal with the Tristana in the top lane. So this push makes a lot of, this lane swap makes a lot of sense to the top lane. Already setting 3 people there, and you see Flandre, he's already on the run. He knows what's coming.
Doesn't want to take any chances. And LWX with that Tristana happily going to start working on this turret. You can see even Gimgoon pulling away from any potential dive from SOFM in the bottom lane of Snake, but that Ezreal is just so slow compared to the explosive shot of Tristana.
And it doesn't seem like Houdier actually has demolished, so that's another thing going in FPX favor right now. This is a 2-for-1 trade. FPX closes out the top lane tower, also gets the Herald in the same go, so just clean map play all over the place.
Yeah, FPX everywhere. Pepper with an early smite, doesn't even care. Picks himself up the Rift Herald. Oh, and look at that, passing it over to Bing here. Now there is a Malzahar. LWX and Pepper are right there, and Gogo did step forward, trying to clear that ward away.
Yeah,
the minion wave away.
This does seem like they're posturing for Rise to go into the split push against Flandre, because Flandre didn't come down for the 5-man gank in the bot lane. Flandre actually is quite ahead over the Camille at this point in the game, so they're probably looking for more for Rise to be the split pushing, to have better use of the Herald rather than Gimgoon.
With that unsealed spellbook, perhaps we could see him take a teleport a little bit later on, effectively play a 1-3-1 with his team to be that multi-lane presence, and just happily pushing his wave on out. Everything resets, still plenty of time on that Rift Herald, a good 3 minutes and about 15 seconds remaining before he has to use it.
Yeah,
and FPX, they've just taken a very strong early pace with this game.
Exactly. What Snake really need to find are opportunities where they can get Golgwa to use his ultimate. It's really rare in a game to go 13 minutes, and Malzahar hasn't even opened his eyes yet.
His third eye?
Oh, that's where the beam comes out?
I believe it is, yeah. A forehead laser to try to find the kill. Well, we did get a recall out of LWX, allowing Crystal and Houdier to push up in that mid lane. SOFM, he's going to start trying to contest some vision here because it looks like that Mountain Dragon has respawned and Snake have got their eyes on it.
Yeah, but my problem with this right now is Flandre actually doesn't have his Ghost outside of the top lane. He's still holding on his teleport. So when he comes in, if he does come at all, it might not be that easy for him to get the damage he wants into the enemy composition. Now, Snake is definitely looking for a fight around this section of the game. Herald coming in. Let's see if they can hold on to the mid.
No hesitation from FPX. They know they can have 5 people here a bit faster. Actually, recall from Gimgoon, but they just use the Herald anyways. As 4 against the Ezreal, they break down the tier 1. 3 turrets to 2, 200 gold ahead. Though they will be trading that top tier 1 over to Flandre for their effort.
Yeah, I actually feel like that Goon probably could have stayed in there and just went over to the Mountain Drake and got a 2-for-1 again in that scenario, but they're playing it a bit more safe. They know Snake is definitely looking for that fight. Don't want to rush things too hard.
Just trying to be nice and slow. Snake are going to be working on this, Mountain Dragon. Pepper's over the wall. He's got a ward in the pit. He doesn't have Smite. Sonic Wave onto Houdier and doesn't take it. Can't follow up.
It's typically okay to trade the Mountain Drake to the losing side. Usually when losing teams get the Mountain Drake, it doesn't really improve their win rates much. Props out, shout out to Oracle's Elixir for figuring that out, which is a really good stat point we throw in a lot of the times. If you're the losing team, a lot of times you don't have that much control over the neutral objectives, towers, barons, it's harder to get to. So sometimes, you know, trading a tower for a Mountain Drake, it's still in favor. Everything's still cool for FPX.
It's kind of hard to do bonus damage to turrets when you're defending in your base the whole time. Is effectively how that breaks down. But 15 minutes in, Snake, they're not in their base just yet. We're 3 turrets to 2, as I just mentioned a few moments ago. And now we're seeing some objective trades happening back and forth. FPX, they're just looking for their next opportunity. Still rocking that unsealed spellbook on Ryze in the bottom lane. He's split pushing against Flandre. Gimgoon holding onto his own teleport, but no big neutral objectives until Baron spawns in the next 4 minutes, and then another Infernal Dragon a few minutes after.
Yep, pretty much. And Snake, they're going to have to look for a fight somewhere. FPX is playing this out really smart. They're going to the 1-3-1, spreading the map out. They're denying the chance for that big 5v5 where the Flandre can make most of his presence felt. Just splitting them up. I kind of feel like Snake might have to go for like a submarine play in the bot lane and try to take Wogo out that way so they can have like a 3-man Flandre. Flandre is actually getting kicked by Pepper here. Goes really, really low.
Just a bit of trading as he's down to about half health. And Frost Queen's claims to escape, still holds on to his flash. Just some light skirmishing. They're pushing each other's buttons, trying to see who will panic first.
I feel like FPX has the same thought pattern I did. They're like, okay, they're probably going to try for this Ryze right here, so let's just move Pepper there in the top lane with him and kick Flandre out of that lane.
Ooh, Bing and Pepper are actually getting the wave all the way up to the turret. No Hemo Plague from Flandre makes it a lot more difficult to clear. Meanwhile, Guoguo, he's pushing on the other side of the map while mid is going even, and FPX, they're trying to rush down this turret before their own tier 2 goes down, True Shot Barrage, but it is matched, 1 for 1.
Yep, and, it's actually fine for Camille, I feel. Like, I don't think the Vladimir is going to come to this lane anytime with a split push. That was purely because they had 2 numbers advantage there. So in terms of like map pressure, I feel like it's actually still okay for FPX right there. Because Ryze can go into that top side of the map, but I don't think Vladimir can do the same thing on the other side of the map. So in terms of like where they can go, where they can allocate their resources or their people on the map, FPX is actually just okay with that.
Yeah, keeping it nice and spread out. As LWX, he's just farming happily in the mid lane. You can see it's even CS between those 2 AD carries, even Targons for the bottom on those supports. And as is expected, Vladimir taking a slight CS lead for Flandre. SOFM doing SOFM things, getting a slight CS lead over Pepper. But still, it's a very even game. Looking towards those items, Triforce for Camille, I mean, she is going to hit like a truck now. Abyssal Mask for Bing is going to allow him to survive a little bit more of the damage out of Guoguo. I actually like that, so do the Rod of Ages.
Yeah, pretty much. For Camille right now, we don't actually see her go full split push in a lot of the matchups. What I think she's really good at is that she can push the wave in, be a good duelist, and when she comes back with the 4-man, she's the best top laner to get a pick in that scenario. She can just prop down the Hextech ultimatum, catch a carry out. Right now, if you're going to run a Kalista composition, almost all teams have to ban Camille. The second Q proc will basically put her to
one
like,
shot. Yeah, put her
very
to bed.
close to one shot.
Exactly. SOFM going to leap away from Pepper and Gimgoon. Alrighty, so we're at the 19-minute mark. Traditionally, this has been Snake's most difficult part of the entire game. In the LPL 2017 summer split, well, I guess that's one way to do it.
we're gonna stay in the pre-20-minute game forever.
Exactly.
Yeah, where Snake is.
We
has
can't
all
get to
their
the part of
glory.
the game that's bad for us if it never happens.
Yeah, exactly. So Snake is one of those really peculiar teams. If you see a team have a positive GD at 10 and 20, you usually assume, if it was in the LCK or NALCS, you'd go, okay, this team probably has a 70% win rate. But their win rate was actually 34%.
Yeah.
So the question a lot of times is, what happens to Snake? It's like, how do they actually lose games? Because they have great laners, they have a great jungler, and my problem with them is that I feel like a lot of times they come out of the resets very, very scattered.
Yeah.
So they'll win a team fight, and they'll go home, buy items, they'll come up on the map, and they won't think to themselves that, oh, this team that we just put into respawn is coming back on the map faster than we are. And we've seen this in the EDG games as well. They got 4 or 5 kills in a row, came back on the map, and was wiped one by one by EDG. So that's a huge thing about their macro play that they really need to be more aware of.
Well, hopefully they'll have learned their lesson here as Guoguo in the mid lane. He's been holding on to that Malzahar ultimate. He's got Flash, he's got Ghost. He's going to be with his team and ready. You can see he's hanging very close to that mid lane bottom with Flandre. But 20 seconds till Baron, 80 until that Infernal Dragon is back up. Snake, looks like they're getting ready for the next big objective. Will FPX be prepared?
We can see right here is that FPX, they're very comfortable in sitting back and just waiting for the late game to come into them. Tristana, one of the best scaling AD carries you can get, also very good in this meta. For Snake, the question is really how do you get to that backline damage?
To Bing, who just casually turns and walks it off, taking barely any damage. Luckily that minion wave coming in just in time to prevent isolation.
Yeah, that was actually kind of peculiar because Shen definitely had a play there. If Shen came in with Kha'Zix, yeah, they probably could have killed him. They were probably worried about that. He was just going to Zhonya's out of that situation and give up a lot of Baron pressure. So Shen not coming down them, not risking that that strong play over there.
It's a very good point. Bing taking the full defensive build. Abyssal Mask and Zhonya's with that tier still stacking up. Now Infinity Edge has been finished for LWX as he leaps over the wall and the great kick onto Hootie.
One more
and
shot.
There goes the jump. They catch it up and chase down the kills as 5. They dive forward. LWX flashes the wall to safety. They're not able to pick up another kill, but still a great pick from FPX.
Yeah, and I felt LWX played that really well, went in for the full damage, and it's not over yet.
That's the
Gimgoon's still going on
There's
Flandre.
a good hemo play. Flandre's trying to heal up the Zhonya's. He's able to get the Tides of Blood. He flashes back, but he's caught up by the Rune Prison. Pepper is burning and shields himself. Another kill for FPX. But SOFM, ooh, he's playing a dangerous game. Sneaks forward. He's looking for the assassination and finds it. And he sneaks away in his house. That's going to be the stand united from Hootie to try to get him out safely. Who succeeds?
Yep, and they actually have a good opportunity here to push into the Baron Pit and take over Vision in that side of the map. They're instead going for the Infernal Drake right now. Pepper just died, so should be a free Inferno for them.
And you can see FPX giving it up. They don't want to risk it.
Yeah.
It's SOFM. He's already shown, hey, he's kind of crazy. Maybe he'll sneak into your backline for one single kill and then flash away. Maybe he won't. Who knows?
Yep, FPX taking out the support first, but also losing their jungler in the process. So Snake actually has control of the map, even though they lost the main engage right there.
And now Snake get the opportunity to reset. They end up trading 2 for 1 and end up taking the Infernal Dragon off the back of it. And take a look at this, another Mountain Dragon. We're just oscillating back and forth between the two. And now at the 22-minute mark, we get to see some vision cleared from FPX around that Baron. SOFM is still there with Guoguo, so no sneaky plays out of FPX to sneak that.
This is a great game for LWX to put his DPM numbers higher. There's basically no tanks on the enemy team right now. He doesn't really need armor penetration at all. He just go straight triple crit items, probably finish out with a Bloodthirster, get an even thicker shield on himself. So the question really comes down to like, how is Snake going to punish that? They can probably try now that Tristana doesn't have her flash.
Oh, looks like we're seeing a pick onto Guoguo, and wow, the follow-up from FPX. They baited at the Baron, and it was Guoguo who fell prey.
Yeah, it's a very easy play right there. Bing just probably used his Realm Warp to cut the enemy team from behind. They also have the Camille, who has a very long-range stun.
And now FPX turning onto the Baron. They are doing a lot of damage really quickly. SOFM has got his smite, but he's got no way out. True Shot Barrage, 2,000 health. He stealths, leaps in. It's not stolen. It's Rise who gets it. SOFM pinned against the wall, goes down. They get another kill onto Flandre, and FPX have just broken this game wide open.
I just love this Targ pick against Snake. Like we said again, Snake is not really a kiting team. When they play a team fight, they go all in and they never really stop. So when you have that Tarek pick there, you call the ultimate down, and you can see their team basically did not take any damage.
Just like that. FPX 8-1, almost in the same position as they were against DDG a few days ago, but let's see that play again. SOFM with the attempted steal. Flandre, he heals so much, but it's just not enough.
Yeah, didn't really get much damage down, so his healing was negated by that, and just couldn't survive the burst damage coming in back from FPX.
Yeah, and now FPX back on the map. They've got Gimgoon with Teleport. Bing with the Unsealed Spellbook currently has his Ghost on cooldown. It's not quite able to change it out just yet, so it will be a 4-1 if they decide to go for it. Unless I could be wrong and he decides to split push anyways. Classic FPX.
And this is just a pretty easy move for FPX right now. They really have the tower pushing advantage with just how much range they have on their carries, and also they could do a lot of cheesy things with Rise as well. Teleport minions from this lane to another lane. That's also something that they could try.
Oof, look at that damage. The rapid fire cannon, static shiv, infinity edge proc, clearing the entire back wave with a single auto attack by LWX. The siege has only just begun. And now FPX, they bring 5 members up into the lane, and with a massive shield on him, LWX, tanking aggro the whole time, is able to break down this mid-tier 2. Now SOFM, he's fighting for vision on the side, but the turret has already been broken.
Yep, and if we look at the levels here, they're actually even, so there's not going to be much pushing advantage given to FPX, but with their range, they can just now move lane to lane. I feel like the problem so far for Snake is that they really haven't been able to get Flandre into that good team fight where they want. All of the first moves have been taken by FPX, and they've basically denied the 5v5 team fight from Snake this entire time.
Without the ability to find that team fight, Snake find themselves floundering, struggling to get a grip onto FPX.
Yeah, they're keeping pretty close in the gold lead, but you can tell all of that money is located on Flandre. So if he doesn't have a good game right here, if he doesn't have like a good fight here, it's going to be very difficult for them to even out.
Now FPX, ooh, looks like they found a fight. It's a melee at the red buff. Good kick, as that's going to be the support dead. Crisp is gone. Meanwhile, that's another 2 kills as Flandre and Hootie goes down. LWX flashes forward. The great Rune Prison. His team has got his back. He chases them down. SOFM again with the crazy assassination. Does not get the kill. A triple for LWX and the ace for FPX.
Wow, they did that without the Cosmic Radiance even coming down. Snake found a good pick right there, but FPX were able to turn on it extremely fast and just take out Flandre in an instant.
They're shoving down mid right now. There's a lot of time on those death timers. Another 3 seconds for Hootie, but 15 for the Ezreal, 20 for SOFM, and the wave is about to crash. FPX could be trying to end here and now.
Yep, let's see if they can manage to do it. They're taking down the towers extremely fast, but Guoguo is coming back. I do think they will back out.
Yeah, just taking it safe. They've broken the inhib. They've broken one of those Nexus turrets, and they don't want to take any chances. Again, Snake is still an excellent team fighting team. If they get that 5v5, that thing they've been looking for this whole game, it could mean trouble for FPX. So they decide not even to risk it for the biscuit and just head back home.
Yep, I'd really like to see that fight again. We did see the first, I think, probably the third Malzahar ultimate right there. Another skip in our video. But
yeah, SOFM leaping away from that as he tries to face check. Looks like Bing is starting to get wise to the sneaky plays of SOFM. Just trying to leap in, try to get some wards, but Bing says, no, you may not have vision here. This is now my river. I know it's your house, but I claim this as my own. Yep. And there's nothing that they can do as FPX turn towards this Mountain Dragon, their second of the game, easily breaking it down. GA on LWX. He's already been leaping forwards with huge plays on this Tristano. Now he's got even more incentive to do so.
Right, and I think most of the play is just going to come down to Sofem. If he can get into that back line right now, try to bring Shen on him, see if they can get a chain CC down on that Tristana. They're not going to win any team fight if they cannot pick out LWX as their first target pretty much at this point. He's too fed. Kim Koo just going straight in on the turret.
Look at that, no hesitation. LWX doesn't even care. There's a Shen right there, and he does not blink. Shoving into the turret. They're looking for SOFM. They have found him and killed him. Cosmic Radiance is going to soak just a bit of that damage as Gorgo finally opens his third eye. Good shadow dash, but it's not enough. Crystal tries to follow it up. Pepper drops down into the GA as Flandre goes forward. A great Realm Warp resets the fight for FPX, but like you said, Flandre is doing work, chasing it down. Tides of Blood for another, and Crystal on the chase finds a second kill. True Shot Barrage misses.
Wow, they took so much damage on the right side from Flandre and Crystal right there. None of them are really touched in that fight, while the other members were going in on Sofem right there. We could see that the Malzahar, the E was like basically making everyone sick and dropping their HPs pretty low on the left side. And when they came in on the right side, they probably, I think probably Hoodia did actually land his taunt. That's why LWX got his HP bar so low. Wish we could see the replay just again right there.
There it is. That's SOFM. What a great kick from Pepper.
Almost dies instantly. Malzahar does get some damage. Oh, so it was Malzahar that got the ultimate down on LWX, putting him down very far to half. He does get taunted right there. Chinese characters popping up right on top of his head. And also takes the Vladimir ultimate at the same time.
And with LWX gone, FPX's chances of winning the fight become a lot more difficult. It's an easy chase up for Crystal to flash Arcane Shift for the final kill and inches away from getting a third. But that's that team fight we've been talking about. This entire game, Snake have been looking for it time and again, and it wasn't them who found it. It was FPX who made the mistake of grouping up under that Vladimir Hemo play.
Yeah, they didn't really have vision of the other side of the gate, and they took a lot of damage, unnecessary damage from Malzahar right there. To be honest, I feel like they could have straight pushed, and that inhibitor tower was definitely going to go down. But let's look at the Baron fight here, right? Here. And what Guoguo can do is actually teleport his team straight into Snake if he does want to go for that option, or he can try to just kite it out. They're probably just going to go for the Baron.
Looking for the steal, does not get it. The fight breaks out. Flandre in the front line. He's so low. That's a quick pull as SOFM is dead. Another as Gimgoon is traded, but Flandre is going one man against the world. He's on the side, zoning away as best he can. Heals 700 health. The flash, the snare is not going to proc another pull as he drops down. A great Tides of Blood onto Chris, but LWX is firing away into the back. Kujier on this side. It is all about the health, all about the regeneration. They get another one. Realm Warp does not activate, and Crisp and LWX are running for their lives. Snake again find the team fight.
Wow, that was beautiful from Flandre right there. He dodged so many skill shots. He dodged the stun from Bing, and then again from the Taric, went out in the pool and just got so much damage off. And at the same time,
listen to the crowd cheering Snake on in their home arena, their first inaugural game. And now they're finding their way back into this game. Let's take a look at that fight once again.
That was a beautiful fight at the start. They took down the Baron. FPX not really taking much damage. You can see the Cosmic Radiance coming down. Snake had to back out of this fight. And let's just watch Flandre kite out all that damage. Healing for 300 or 400 damage right now, dodges all of the stunts, goes back in, and you can see Bing is caught in a really bad position where Crystal can freely fire on the backside with Flandre and Hoodia in the front.
What a save. Dashing in and getting that Spirit's Refuge right as the Zanya's wears off. A huge play to keep Flandre and his carries alive. But 32 minutes in, and FPX, they're still up. They've already broken the inhib, which has now respawned. They've even broken a Nexus turret, but they cannot seal the deal here. The same thing that happened against EDG just a few days ago.
Yeah, they even got Sofem at, I think they got Sofem at the start of the fight. Still wasn't able to close anything down right there. So props to Snake's frontline, really playing that very well. They used the stasis, the untargetable, and gave Crystal so much time to dish out damage.
Andre stepping forward once again. LWX, the only member with that Baron buff. And look at SOFM. He is playing a stealth mission, but he's losing his inhibitor in the meanwhile. Slowly but surely, FPX are getting closer and closer to breaking it down. They catch the next minion wave, escort it in, drop a control ward to make sure they're safe.
Yep, and nothing can actually see the causes coming in if he uses his ultimate. Not even the Lee Sin E can detect him. So that's what Sofem is looking for here right now. He's looking for a submarine plane onto the back line of LWX. It's worthy to note that LWX still has his flash up, so that's going to be a huge point of contention.
Still just playing it so patiently. A recall from Flandre to top himself up. True Shot Barrage to get some chip damage. And the Baron buff still ticking away for LWX. He walks in, working on that inhibitor, finally breaks it down, and FPX have gotten what they came for. Now, Cloud Dragon's up in 10 seconds. Not quite the best final Drake, but when you're tied 2-2, the third one could be it. Yeah, that could be SOFM. Decides to let it go.
Uses the Frost Queen's claim to try to catch some people out. FPX back out in Union, and they don't even have to use the Realm Warp.
They turn towards this Cloud Dragon, the final elemental of this game. Elder Dragon is up next in just 6 minutes. And now that the inhibitor has been broken down, FPX have got a lot to play with.
Yeah, they just need, I feel like they need to chill, take things a bit more slowly. They tried to finish out the members whenever they got Sofem first, and that was kind of what led to their downfall in these two team fights. They just need to take it slow and know that they can work from front to back. They have the better damage dealers on their team in LWX, and if the enemy team is all stasis up or untargetable, you can just back out, like deny that damage from Crystal, and then come back in again once those targets become available.
SOFM, man, you are crazy. Sneaking into the jungle, denying the recall from Bing on top of a ward.
I will say that both of these teams, when they lost to EDG, it has been down to misplays on Rise. So the game that Snake did lose to EDG, they were up 12K. They wanted to Realm Warp back, only Realm Warp 3 members, and that was a bit of an awkward moment.
Yeah.
And for FPX as well, Bing got caught out in the late game. So that's going to be some things that both of these teams need to take care of, and I really hope that this thriller is not going to end with something like that.
Not a repeat of the same mistake. I mean, Bing's been doing pretty good so far. He's 4-1-6. You can see he's still sticking with that Ghost for extra mobility around these team fights, extra positioning. And his Realm Warps in the fight have been pretty fantastic, even when they were caught out, using the Realm Warp to get LWX to safety as the GA respawned him was exceptionally clever. But cleverness does not win the game. They have to get to the Nexus, which means they have to get through Snake. And if Snake keep taking these 5v5s, I just don't know if that's going to happen.
I think their best option really is to siege. There's no way that Vladimir can get into the back line unless he uses something crazy like a teleport or goes a really long route around. We can see Sofem on the flanks right now, but he can only take Shen into the fight. He actually gets spotted.
The flash kick, the Sonic Wave. So many ultimates burned, but they get it. It's 4 versus 5 for 45 seconds.
Yeah, I think Sofem realized a little too late. He popped his Scryers and looked, oh, there's 2 wards here. I'm dead.
Oh, bit of a mistake, but that's another inhibitor turret broken. 5 versus 4. Snake won a fight just like this at the Baron Pit a few minutes ago to keep themselves in the game. But now they don't have someone threatening with the flanks. Now they have super minions pushing into their base. And LWX is hungry for that inhibitor.
Yeah, FPX should try to get this inhibitor and just move to Baron. That would be their best play, and they're going to get it right now.
Ooh, flash snare. They're going to try to look to end the game here. A great dive from Gimgoon as he leaps in. They assassinate Guogo, and Flandre goes in. A Realm Warp gets themselves under the Nexus turret, the final one, as Bing might have gone a bit too far with the minion wave there. He can't land the overload. He can't get the damage. His team is winning the fight on the far side, and that's going to be Bing dying to Crystal. SOFM has respawned. It's 4 versus 4, and still FPX are pushing. Gimgoon with no health is going to go in. He gets the assassination. They've killed Flandre. LWX leaps in. Spirit's Refuge tries to stall it out, but LWX is going huge with these kills. He's going to be able to clean it up, turning towards the final Nexus itself. And FPX close out game number 1 in Snake's home arena.
That was a really tense moment right there. Snake was looking to engage on FPX because they had SoFM coming right out of the respawn. FPX wanted to get that inhibitor down so it would make their Baron so much easier. But FPX thought more about their plays. They flashed instantly on, caught out Guoguo and won the fight from there. Also, huge props to Sterix Gage for keeping Gimgoon alive on the later half of that game, really baiting out Crystal. And we could see at the end, Crystal knew what was coming. He wasn't even moving at that point. He's like, we lost this.
Yeah, FPX, I mean, with that characteristic decisiveness that we saw against EDG, but I think the thing that's most exciting was we saw them temper their decisiveness, stall out for 2 waves so you can chip away the inhibitor before diving. We're watching a team learn and grow in their inaugural weeks here in the LPL. Now, here to help join us and break down this game is Miss Indiana Froskier in Black. Welcome back.
I believe that FPX are the real deal. I know that there was some quiet hype around them. We focused a lot on Rogue Warriors, you know, that assembly of that comeback roster. But FPX, they just have individual talents, the LWX pickup, and to see that guy thrive again on a roster other than newbie is so comforting. This is now back-to-back series where LWX has gone off.
Absolutely. I mean, leaping forward onto the Kazakhs in the middle of a fight with his team going the other direction. When Kazakhs took Q Evolve first for increased isolation, I mean, he's got some gusto.
Yeah, and I just want to talk about Pepper more. I feel like he played that early game extremely
Pepper
well.
being LWX, all of them had their big highlight moments. And Pepper, not even just the early game, but the late game on all of those SoFM picks.
Caught SoFM out 3 times. Just found him everywhere and kicked him back into his team.
Massive plays from SoFM, or excuse me, from FPX to find those picks, and their decisiveness really allowed them to carry through.
Yeah, and I kind of want to go back to the very beginning about like how this game snowballed so out of control, because for the first 20 minutes, it looked like FPX were about to close it out on 5. Then the Vladimir came online, Ezreal got his items, and then Snake started to make that miracle comeback. But it really started with Pepper recognizing where his map was strong, particularly in the bottom lane. There was huge pushing power. Clement, you talked about it during cast, and Pepper instantly knew, hey, I'm going to go into SoFM's jungle and I'm going to ruin his day. And why that was so important is because it was the Malzahar Kha'Zix combo. Like, that was really one of the only options that Snake had in terms of how to get their early game going, or at least post level 6. And if SoFM is dealing with Lee Sin in his face 24/7, there's never going to be a time that he can team up with that Malzahar. What, there was like only 3 or 4 Malz ults total in that game? That's a low cooldown. So
there was no ultimates used 13 minutes into the game. The first one is in the big 5v5 team fight. So that did not work out.
Huge credit to Pepper, because he made sure that there was never anyone to team up with that ultimate.
So then, getting into this, was it just the draft picking that Lee Sin later on to allow him to do this, or is this some sort of pre-planned strategy?
I definitely think it was pre-planned. I think the Taric pick and the Lee Sin pick, they're really good picks into this Snake team that isn't necessarily known for a kite team. So they also set up a hyper carry on LWX. We saw that a mile away with the Taric pick. It was like, okay, that's Tristana right there. So I feel like it was really well thought out. They didn't fall into the Kog'Maw or Ezreal trap, which is, I think, the main thing that Snake was trying to put them into.
And our man of the match, we were just talking about him, it's Pepper. 3-3 and 13, 80% kill participation on that Lee Sin.
And it's finally getting a chance to shine. Again, this guy was formerly known as Yihan. He was the sub-jungler behind MLX Shi. So when you're playing behind a superstar like that, you don't get to really prove your merit. And now on a team like FPX, no one knows who these guys are. Like, if you're not a big hardcore LPL fan, you just look over this team. But FPX are a very good team. And I'm willing to bet now that they're going to be a top team, like the dark horse contenders.
How much?
A lot.
Alrighty.
They're very intelligent.
We're not talking about money here.
Oh, no, of course. We've done wigs, we've done crazy
done
costumes.
Dresses.
We have.
Yeah,
well, I mean, you're already one-upping us here, but then looking forward then, we've got to turn our attention to Snake on the other side, because Snake, they seem to be coming up with the same problems time and again. They had a great run in the Demacia Cup. What happened?
I'm going to push back a little bit. I actually think Snake have completely different problems now.
Okay.
Because it used to be that Snake couldn't team fight, that they had all of the great, strong 1v1 pieces. Zatai as a mid laner defined them as a side lane pushing team, like a 1-3-1 team. And now they have Guoguo, and Guoguo is a good 5v5. We just saw that. Flandre's playing well in the 5v5s. Guoguo has great target selection in 5v5s. Crystal's performing better. But it's like everything else about their 1v1 dominance, particularly around how they're interacting with SoFM, has taken a step back. So Snake got better at fighting, got worse at lane phase. They now, like, if they could just take 20 2017 Snake and 2018 Snake and put them together, they might actually crack playoffs.
The Snake Megazord to assemble. I mean, like we keep talking about, SOFM, he's a very unique snowflake.
Unique.
Yes, I mean, walking through 4 people with his stealth and then flashing to get a single kill and then leaping away. That's
Got an Infernal Drake for the team.
He absolutely did. But how must that be for Snake to play around with something like this, especially bringing in a new mid laner?
I mean, Snake, SOFM is very selfish. And I think we've seen that. There's a documentary about him. All of his teammates say about them. He recognizes that, and you can actually see that in his play. The fact that he took a Q evolve Kha'Zix before R evolve Kha'Zix, this happens a lot in the LCK as well as in Korean solo queue, and it's basically saying, I'm going to prioritize dragons before I prioritize gank paths. So that's the thing. It's SOFM saying that outside of being these really creative ganking opportunities for my team to help my lanes, I'm going to prioritize acquiring my own gold, acquiring my own experience, acquiring my own carry potential.
Tragically, though, getting picked off at the very end. We saw the threat that he could have when he was flanking just outside of vision, but the moment he gets spotted, the jig is up, and a quick collapse from Pepper locks down the kill and closes out the game. But still, let's bring it back to FPX. The fact that we are seeing this new team grow so well. Do they have a Kryptonite Frosk? Clement?
I actually feel like their coaching is really good. If
Yeah,
you look at
it's
their
really solid.
objective selection, like the early decision to go top, and then like the bottom push, they got 2-for-1 trades twice in that game in the early game. So
It'd be inexperience, if anything.
Well,
Yeah.
they've got 10 more weeks to continue to learn and grow. We're going to go and take a quick break, everyone. Don't go anywhere. The LPL will be right back.
为什么把 ID 改成 Pepe？ 我觉得是因为我比较喜欢吃辣的原因吧，这是原因之一。第二个原因是因为我觉得我的游戏的风格啊，还有我的性格都是就是比较急躁的那种，所以挺适合我的。
Well, there you go. Pepper, and why he changed his name to Pepper. He likes spicy food and he thinks he's a little bit spicy, guys. What do you think?
I would agree with that after that last game. I think the key word there was impulsive, and there wasn't like any hesitation with some of those inset kicks.
Yes, sometimes I just literally convinced myself that it was SOFM making those kicks because it was so clean.
Yep.
Well, there's a really good performance coming out from FunPlus Phoenix there. They're going to go into Game 2 shortly. But what do you guys want to touch on coming out of Game 1 between these two teams?
I thought that FunPlus had a very clean, decisive early point of the game to kind of free the bottom lane. One really key aspect of this one, and Snake is going to have to really change how their pick ban goes afterwards, is because Tristan had early static shiv, right? She had the first BF sword. She had the ability to leave the bottom lane and incredibly quickly and then go mid lane off of that. What do you do at that point if you're a Snake? Because your Ezreal is incredibly far behind. He's trying to build up items. Your top side of the map, Vladimir, is super far behind because the game is moving so quickly and he's not going to be able to deal with the Camille. So they have 2 side lanes that were literally non-existent at the midpoint of the game.
I mean, this is Snake's opening game. They're at their home arena. It seems like there's a worrying trend about teams opening up their arena right now because FunPlus Phoenix, they came to play today. They've done so well in game 1. And Frost, you're talking about how they've been doing really well so far in the LPL.
Yeah, even though if they win this series, they would technically be split for their week 1-1 because it's EDG and then Snake as their opponents. They still performed so well against EDG, and it's not just their individual performances. We see this all the time in the LPL. A team will come out, they'll reassemble, and it's like, oh, you know, they have good players, but they're kind of a dumb team. You know, they just do weird, stupid things, and they just run for it and fight you. There's no strategy or rhyme or reason to anything. FPX is not one of those teams. They took the diamonds in the rough and scraped them away from all of these kind of like subpar teams, assembled it together, and now they're incredibly smart in their draft phase. I think the combination of Taric, Camille, and Ryze is so deadly, especially against Snake. They have beautiful macro play and how they're doing their lane assignments and how they're setting up objective control, and then they also have the talent.
Yeah, I think they'll have to get tested a lot more as the weeks go on, because I think the biggest thing that they have going for them is that their team just makes sense, because Bing has been known when he was playing competitively for Saint was a roaming mid laner. He would actually pick up the lane and hopefully go towards the side lanes and get them rolling. He has Gimgoon in the top lane. He has LWX and Crisp, which has already been a lane for newbie way back. So this already was smart to begin with as a composition, as a team being formed in week 1. So I think they had a pretty easy going, let's say, in first few weeks of scrims.
And EDG is their first series.
Yeah, that was pretty difficult. That's a tough lesson to learn.
Just straight out of the gate, Raz. And yes, they went down 0-2, but they gave a really good showing in game 1.
Well, they certainly did. We've talked a lot about FunPlus X. What about Snake? Because we're seeing them coming back into the LPL. You know, they did well at the Master Cup. What is it about Snake, and what exactly did they have to change in this series? Because although they looked like they had some moments of brilliance, it just didn't quite all fit together.
So, unpopular opinion, I think Snake is actually getting boosted by Vladimir.
Oh.
Yep, and because Flandre is a very good Vladimir player, and don't get me wrong, Crystal's playing better than he did last split. Flandre is playing much better than he did last split. They have a new mid laner who I think works better with kind of their 5v5 theme that they're going for. But Flandre, like if Vladimir is taken away from him, I don't think you get anywhere near that type of performance.
I will say this, if you watch Flandre's stream, he immediately hopped onto the spellbook hype. He was immediately on Vladimir. He was the first to do so in the Chinese scene.
And that makes sense. Super creative player.
Yes, and it really fit with his playstyle. I like that aspect. But I also think that the bottom side of the map was starting to form into something, because we saw in the last split, it only started to become a Crystal lane, and Crystal had a phenomenal last, or at least ending of that game.
Thank you. I was gonna say, did you watch Lane Phase? Like I got blasted.
Later portions of the game, when he actually had items,
when
he was
had
doing well.
items and he could do damage, he did well. Got it.
Yes, and so that's the biggest point for Snake, is that it feels like as a team they're getting better.
Well, he was up against LWX, who was someone we've already talked about for years and years now, and he's doing really well in FunPlus Phoenix, and he looked like he was making some hyper-aggressive plays that I know you thought were a little bit questionable, Raz.
Very questionable.
Very questionable.
Questionable, man.
He was like 3 people right in the middle, just boom.
Yeah, he just wanted to get in it. I like the confidence in that. I don't know what else to say. The confidence is there, and I want to see more. Maybe not in that situation.
Well, we're seeing so much confidence coming out of LWX. How come we don't see Snake capitalizing in those situations? Because there were so many times he gets away with it.
Well, when you're that snowballed ahead, he's able to do that because he has the confidence.
Yes.
But Snake did capitalize. I mean, that one big team fight on Inhib that let Snake really get back into the game was because that dude just walked up in distance of a Shin touch him. It's like, please.
Yes, and last year, one of the biggest weaknesses of LWX was getting caught off because he was being too aggressive when he had leads. I think this game, it was hard because the composition wasn't going to be able to get on top of him and be able to do much, especially if they did. Where's the damage coming from? So he had that going for him this time around. Game 2, I want to see what the comp looks like.
Well, we'll have to see how game number 2 goes. We're going to go into Champions League very quickly for game 2. Don't go anywhere. We're going to send it to our casters. It's going to be Dom and Clement.
在重庆主场打比赛的话，我觉得不同的是，就是观众可能更热情，因为重庆那边的人都特别热情嘛，就性格方面特别好。然后，因为我自己算是半个重庆人，我就觉得他们可能 应该会欢迎我们吧。如果别的队来重庆打比赛的话，我想跟你们说，欢迎来重庆吃火锅。
Welcome back, everyone. Once again, I'm Dom. This is Clement, and it is going to be a little bit tough for Crystal to get the encouragement of the crowd if he finds himself with an 0-2 defeat here, because right now, FPX, we just heard from the desk, they are looking pretty strong, and it's going to be up to Snake to try to turn this around here in the next game.
Yeah, and the big thing I worry for them about FPX is that they're actually playing incredibly smart. You know, they pick up this coach, BSYY, previously on the Dan Gaming team, and it kind of shows in their macro play how well they're playing. A lot of 2-for-1 objective trades right there. They are very patient. They don't go too far in. Like, no, I was calling them to go for that Mountain Drake. It's like, go, you got it. But they're taking a step back, always keeping a very logical perspective about the game and where they should go. And that's something that I'm not convinced that Snake will necessarily be able to overcome. That's kind of their weakness. They've got the muscle. Do they have what it takes up here
to pull it off?
I didn't want to say it, but
well, I mean, they've got Guogo now in the mid lane. We talked a little bit about how Zatai kind of defined them as a split pushing team, and Guogo seems to make them more comfortable as a team fighting team. It's going to be really exciting to see how this next draft affects that, because taking this information now that FPX, they have these pre-planned strategies, they have these sort of rehearsed 20 minutes that they can go through. Snake are going to have to change up coming into this next one.
Yeah, I just really like their first game strategy and draft was. I think it was beautiful. I think they completely neutralized what Crystal is actually good at. Like, they didn't ban out the hard to engage support, so Crystal was like, do I really want to go on something like Varus right here? It's kind of dicey. So he opted into the Ezreal, which is a safe pick, but at the same time, I don't think it's a particularly strong pick for them. You could see that they had no initiative in the bot lane, which was a big problem for them. A lot of times when Snake is playing, a lot of their fights do center around that bot lane, and they try to get things going, the skirmishes going there. It did not happen this game because they were constantly pushed in, and also that jungle control from Pepper completely shut down Sofem. And with Sofem shut down, no Malzahar ultimates, for me, there has to be something that happens for them early game. They need a kickstart that can get them into skirmishes, get them fights early, get the thing going, get the entire machine heated up.
Well, the big scare that we just heard from the desk is that SOFM is a bit of a selfish player, and if we see Flandre get taken off of that Vladimir, which was such a good late-game kickstart, then is there really anything? Could Crystal perhaps look towards the likes of Draven or Callista or something to just force a fight, run in and try to make something happen, or is that up to someone else?
I think you can prioritize the Varus, and you can just build your ban picks around that. If you ban out a couple of the more hard engaged supports, the big ones you're looking at, Leona, Alistar, if those are taken away, then Varus is suddenly looks like a much better option. He can stay in lane with the Tristana, even punish that lane a little bit. So that might be an option. You can play around bot lane. And frankly, I feel like even though Flandre does go, he's very good on picks such as Camille, the Vladimir, people don't want to give him these picks. He's also perfectly fine on the stuff like Maokai. He is a good team fighting top laner as opposed to just a split push one trick, which is, I think he has he can go in that direction, but I do feel whatever they decide to do, they need to find ways to get fights going early game.
I think that's where we saw a little bit of the potential synergy with Flandre and SOFM, because when it was FPX taking fights bottom, traditionally we were seeing SOFM on the top side of the map invading, looking to dive Gimgoon up top, but with that Camille, he could just leap back to safety and sit back under his turret nice and comfortably. But now we've got our sides swapped over. Looks like FPX are going to find themselves on the red side, Snake on the blue side, so with priority, Snake could try to take something a bit more creative
here. This
here.
is interesting because I feel like Snake could actually first pick the Kog'Maw as well. Snake was originally known for playing the Protect the composition into EDG, winning that series and making a name for themselves. So they could potentially do that as well. And I'm not really sure if Pepper is going to be willing to play into the tank supports like SOFM is going to be, because we've seen this guy is mainly a Jarvan Kha'Zix player. But apparently my Predictions are completely out the window, so they just ban out the Kog'Maw instantly.
Why even risk it at this point, right? When the likes of Zoe is so strong in the meta, when Azir has such long range to be able to harass that Kog'Maw away. But like you said, it's Kog'Maw banned away right off. Taric going to be taken away from Crisp here in this game number 2. That Cosmic Radiance, just a bit too much comfort for him. Meanwhile, Kalista again banned away from Crystal. So all in all, things looking pretty similar to last game. Ooh, but I like this change up. Vladimir banned away from Flandre.
Yeah, so the early picks we can have from Flandre right here might be Camille if they leave that up. Ornn is also something that he is willing to go into, and Ornn synergizes really well if you want to kickstart the bot lane. So that is also a, it doesn't win a lot of games, but you can always go to that. They decide not to go that route. For Gimgoom, I actually feel like he's just comfortable picking, like blind picking into a lot of champions. You don't necessarily need to prioritize him. Still deciding Snake, taking away that Jarvan. Pepper is too damn scary on that champion. We're not going to give it to him. FPX also taking out an engage option from Snake. This is one of Guoguo's best champions. I feel like the game they won against EDG, he really had some of the best Zhonya's in game.
Well, that's also the Alistar banned away by FPX, and with the Tahm Kench now to keep LWX safe, once again, he's got his pick of the litter for hyper carries. Perhaps we could get the chance to see a Vayne. Perhaps we could get the chance to see another Tristana. I was kidding about the Vayne.
you're just kidding. Like,
Crystal,
calm down.
through time and space, on the other 300s of kilometers away, has heard me and says, Vayne, here, now? Just lock it in. No, it's going to be the Malzahar locked in for Guoguo. Hopefully he'll get the chance to use it. Use that ultimate a little bit more this game.
What? Going up for the Gangplank. Okay, this is very interesting.
All right. Taking
a page from Gimgoon's playbook here. Now, we've seen a lot of... This is one of the main differences between the LCK and the LPL currently, is that the prioritization on Gangplank is very, very different. A lot of teams will pick Gangplank even as a first pick in the LCK.
Now...
Kha'Zix going in?
Yeah, Kha'Zix locked in for Pepper in the jungle. Still seeing a late top lane for Gimgoon. He's more than comfortable blind picking up, but now he knows what he's up against. That Gangplank on the top side. So perhaps we could see him return to that Gnar that he tried to take Scout down with just a few days ago, as Shen will be banned away from Hootie.
This definitely looks like Snake will probably ban out. I'm guessing they definitely need to take out the Gnar. They don't want too many bad matchups in the top lane.
See what that's going to be. Camille banned away from Gimgoon. Still rocking that 100% win rate here in the LPL.
That's an interesting ban, because usually Gangplank has a decent to good matchup against the Camille unless the jungler can snowball it very heavily. So with this ban, they're basically saying that, okay, Pepper, you're really good on the map. We don't want you to make life a living hell for Flandre in the top lane. We're just going to take that option away.
Oh, Misfortune ban away from Crystal and Hootie on that bottom half. Still looking for the support and AD carry of the two. But LWX will get first pick. There's the Gnar that we were talking about. So Gimgoon is going to have to dig just a little bit deeper.
Looks like the Ezreal here coming for FPX, I would imagine. That would be the reason you ban out Misfortune. Misfortune still has a decent matchup into Ezreal, even with all of the armor pen nerfs.
Ooh, the Kayle would have been really interesting. You and I were joking earlier today about how terrible... Whoa! Urgot locked in.
Welcome to 2018.
By Gimgoon. Where's Pulse when you need him? The Urgot main. All right. I like where this is going.
Okay, so that's a very, very special pick right there. The problem with Urgot is that, yes, he does win a lot of lanes, but when he loses them spectacularly. There's no comeback mechanic, really, for that champion.
And Crystal, he wasn't kidding. Taking the Vayne here. Snake are throwing down the gauntlet.
All right, they need something that can protect, probably push the lane out a little bit. Going for the Braum pick here. That's good into the Tahm Kench. You can kind of slow him from walking into you. FPX here taking the Twitch. All right, there's a lot of picks open at this moment. You can decide to kind of push the Vayne lane in. Vayne does not have any wave clear as a champion. That is her main point of weakness. But Sivir is not very good into Vayne post 6, so I think Tristana does make a bit more sense here.
Yeah, once again, LWX returning to the champion that had such an excellent performance in Game 1. But now in game 2, he's got himself an Urgot on the top half of the map. Tahm Kench to keep him safe, someone who he actually needs to be next to instead of getting the long-range Cosmic Radiance from that Taric. But Snake, in front of their home crowd in Chongqing, are going to try to turn this around. And this is not going to be a subtle affair, Clement. I think this is going to be a loud and a messy game.
Yep. I really want to see how that top lane goes because I feel like Urgot is a huge risk to any team. Yes, you can push in like tanks that can't fight back, like Shen and things like this. But against a Gangplank, I actually feel like he can set up a chain barrel very easily and lead to your death through a gank in that scenario. So they really are going to have to play more to the top side in this game and kind of just let Tahm Kench protect the bottom side, trust in Crisps, and let him do his job there. If you don't protect the Urgot, I really don't see how this pick is a good pick. It's a very volatile top lane.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen some great play from Pepper in game number 1 this time around. He could be the one who ends up being invaded. We know that Jarvans are very capable of trying to sneak into the jungle, and SOFM is probably the most likely culprit to try to do exactly that. So we'll keep an eye on that early jungle pathing, but with our compositions all set up, with all 10 players locked and loaded here in game number 2, and in front of their home crowd, Snake are going to try to turn this best of 3 around and start off 2018 with a win. But it's up to Fun plus Phoenix to deny them that.
Well, it's up to Gimgoon to deny them that at this point. So we can talk a little bit about Urgot runes. In Challenger, we've actually had a Korean Urgot player, and he actually goes for Grasp of the Undying. And we've also seen in other tiers of League, we've seen Press the Attack, and I know Pulse, he swears by the Comet. So there's a lot of variants you could have there. I'm really interested to see how he actually plays his pick out.
Especially up against the likes of that Gangplank, who would just love to sit there and farm and catch minions and become absolutely huge so that he can one-shot a squishy Tristana or a Kha'Zix later on. But in order to actually make that happen, though, he'll need to survive the constant damage and constant threat that Gimgoon will be providing. But the crowd is cheering, the players are ready, and we're in game.
So pretty standard level 1s here, both teams fanning out. I think that Gimgoon, my guess is that he probably has Demolish or something. That's the way I've seen the last Korean Challenger Urgot being played, is that you take Grasp of the Undying, you have Demolish, you constantly push those tanks in and you just chip on their turrets. But again, I'm not very familiar with this champion. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, taking the Corrupting Potion level 1, Gimgoon hoping to get just a bit more additional damage. Looks like we're going to be getting those runes coming up in just a bit. I believe that was Electrocute. Yeah, Electrocute on Pepper was all I saw, and I think that was Unsealed Spellbook on Bing. But just a standard blue buff start from SOFM, some assistance from Flandre. You can see Pepper and Gimgoon on that top side of the map, so mirrored jungles, top to bottom.
Yep, and I think this is smart from Snake's part. Really, the Gangplank doesn't have much to do in lane. It's perfectly okay if you want to help out your jungler and have him path toward the bot side where there's more action. Smart choices here.
Yeah, Pepper just happily clearing away his Raptors as Gimgoon heads on top to start working away at Flandre's health. Mid looks to be very close to even, and LWX and Crisp have already shoved quite aggressively. It appears that we've got another Targons coming out of LWX for some early shove. Looks like Crisp running the exact same thing. Heck, why not make it 4? 4 Targons on that bottom half of the map.
Yeah, this is getting really common on champions that don't necessarily need the extra health sustain. A lot of people are taking this just for the gold gain. We've actually seen Targons being picked in the top lane as well for Kleptomancy users. You can get your money back in about 10 minutes with Bandit, and it also incentivizes your jungler to come to your lane because you can pass free gold.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
10-minute money back guarantee.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, anything you can do to try to get more people into your lane, more people on your own team to gank the enemy, and then you tell them to get out.
All right, I have no more charges. You're out. You're out.
Exactly. Looks like pretty full clear from SOFM, not affecting any lanes just yet. Full top side, then red to Raptors, leaving his Krugs alone. And close to a full clear from Pepper. He's heading over towards his Krugs right now, but SOFM walks through lane. I don't know that he was spotted there. Yeah, that was pretty close to the vision. And he's pushing up. Oh, excellent timing from Pepper with that Scryers to spot this out. No smite from either of them. But Pepper is just going to zone away that J4.
Yep, pretty much. Pepper doing an identical path as SOFM. Both of them know that this Urgot needs to be protected. Starting on the top side and then going back just to make sure that matchup goes the way it's supposed to.
A little bit of a priority from both of those top laners to make sure that, or excuse me, junglers, to make sure that top lane is safe. And we talked a little bit about this before getting into the game proper. The pathing of both Pepper and SOFM is going to be so important to see how they affect these lanes because they can be very volatile.
Exactly. The one thing I have about like Gangplank is that sometimes when Gangplanks take magical footwear in bad matchups, it turns into a negative snowball. They actually get picked on in lane over and over again. It can happen with like Rumble matchups and can kind of happen in this matchup as well.
Ooh. Magical footwear would certainly be helpful in escaping what could be a potential gank. Gimgoon is trying to play with the vision. Even Bing is on his way. That's a blast plant to try to get him over the wall. Good damage. Flandre is down to 200. The chase, 100 health. The teleport flash. Bing gets first blood.
That was beautiful full play right there. 3 people coming in, recognizing the lane position, recognizing the potential for Gimgoon to get that disdain back. And just playing all parts of the map really well. They put all their pieces together. It all clicked. It's a beautiful play. They even got a free teleport.
And this is what we were talking about from FPX. They seem to click right now. But Snake, ooh, this is a bit clever. They're going to mimic the exact same play. SOFM
definitely spotted
past.
here though.
Can't quite see him from that perspective, though. Immediately, Gimgoon pulls back and pings, so you must be right. And instead, they play it nice and defensive. FPX don't take any chances.
Yep. So Bing looks like he was smart enough to leave a river ward for them, so that counter gank does not happen from Snake. Gimgoon has a very fun time picking up this massive wave. This matchup could have been very different if they were able to 3v1 him under tower right here. Doesn't happen, though.
And the gusto from Flandre to teleport back in with only a sheen and then aggressively push back once again. Pepper now shows himself on that top half of the map, and with the recall from Gimgoon, he's going to look for his own first buy, as it's just a nice, safe top lane after that initial excitement, and everyone returns towards it.
Yeah. Now, the more I think about this lane, the more details you can kind of think about in the matchup. If Urgot is able to push Gangplank in and he can land a throwback on him, there's nothing Gangplank can really do. Like his citrus fruit don't protect him from that, and if you have Kha'Zix coming in at the same time, that's actually a fairly easy kill. We can see how Pepper path to the top lane right there, just went through the lane because his lane was constantly pushing. Now we can see a skirmish probably going to happen here. Oh, SOFM gets out safe.
Yeah, he's able to invade and steal away the wolves, and with the push from Guo Guo in the mid lane, Bing cannot walk forward and punish it. So the slight advantage for SOFM as he's able to get in there and start to eke out a bit of a CS lead over Pepper. Meanwhile, LWX, he's been hard pushing down here in the bottom lane. I don't think I've seen him back on his own side of the river since the lane started. And Crystal, he's doing a good job keeping up with the CS of LWX while this has been going on, while the junglers have been so focused on other areas of the map.
Yep, but I feel like FPX do need to be careful because I think Crisp is the main way that Snake does get into the game. With Jarvan coming in from with his Cataclysm and Hoodie's ultimate as well, I feel like Crisp is the prime target they're probably going to go for to kickstart this. You can see they're constantly shoving in that bot lane, so you really have to take close attention to that lane when both of those bot laners get to level 6.
And now that allows SOFM to take himself a Scuttle Crab. Looks like he will pass over that second blue buff to Guo Guo, allowing him to push back against the Rise, who once again went for the Catalyst and Tier, so a nice safe and delayed build. No big items out of Guo Guo just yet. We also have not seen the Nether Grasp either. So everything's nice and patient. As recall completed from Pepper, he gets level 6. Challenging Smite and Warriors for Assassination. SOFM, warding Smite, and also Warriors.
Now this is a great time to go back for LWX. They know that SOFM has just hit 6 on the top side of the map, know his starting jungle path, and he's most likely going to come bot lane. So, stepping on the brakes a little bit. Actually, they just went straight back to lane. All right, so never mind.
Yeah,
they just warded and went straight back to lane.
Canceling the recall instead. They decide to stay there, extending this laning phase as long as possible. Because if you take a look at that, the first dragon is an Infernal. So the longer FPX can delay and start to build some of those core items, the better position they'll be when they get to that eventual fight.
Yep.
Pepper sneaks in and right back out.
Pepper definitely smells the potential for Sofem's ultimate to come down here. Hoodia has already hit 6, but I feel like Snake has kind of missed their opportunities with Bing roaming and also Pepper on the bottom side of the map. I don't feel like they can go for this play anymore. It's just about defending Infernal Drake at this point for them.
Ooh. Or perhaps sneaking it away. SOFM is at the Krug camp right now, and there's a ward in the pit that sees this happening. SOFM on his way. He just used his smite on the Krugs.
Ult's down.
Cannon barrage over the wall. Pepper goes low, and Crisp with the save. He's knocked out to the other side. Smites and steals it, but gives away a kill. Crisp with a huge shield goes low. Nether Grasp onto Bing. FPX might have bitten off a bit too much more that they can chew. Oh, the stopwatch and the portal to get to the wall. And the flash chase from
2 more autos.
He wants the kill. It takes 1, but no, there is no follow-up. Snake only find 2 kills, and FPX get the dragon.
Yep, and Flandre with the play from the top lane, going for a 2-for-0 trade for Snake there. And most importantly, that they are able to get some kills on the board, get this game plan starting for them. So I would say that's more in favor for Snake for me.
Here's that play again. Crisp tries to go for the save, but doesn't quite get it in time, though they do secure the dragon.
Yep, and you can see the big difference maker, Gameplank locking all of the members of FPX into that dragon pit, so they have to commit to the fight there. Crisp really doesn't have much of a chance against those ultimates, Cataclysm and the Glacial Fissure coming down. Bing just really lucky to get away with his life.
Ooh, Pepper and Bing are hunting down Guoguo. A double stopwatch at the exact same time. Bing tries to get in. Flash auto from Pepper gets the kill. And SOFM with the chase drops a ward, trying to get to the blast plant. Can he make it in time? He cannot. He goes down. It's 1 for 2 in favor of FPX.
Yeah, we didn't see the start of that fight, but good Zarya usages from both extended that fight a little bit. However, that was a done deal for FPX. They have that top lane constantly pushing in, so there was not much chance that they could have won that fight. And just like we talked about earlier in the game, it does look like Gimgoon is going Grasp of the Undying into the Demolish build. So Pulse, if you're watching, you can take a couple notes. This build is actually better than yours.
Oh,
just saying.
Calling him out, one top laner to another. We'll get back to this when this series is over, Clement. But for now, let's just continue to watch how this is going on, as Bing is going to teleport here into this mid lane, and Snake find themselves with a gold advantage, but it really seems like they're still reacting to the plays of FPX. They are the proactive ones, fighting over the dragon, trying to find the pick onto Guoguo, and it's Snake who are responding in return. Can they afford to continue doing this over the course of the game, knowing that they have that Vayne and Malzahar?
Well, I feel like they need to get the bot lane going. The problem about the Vayne versus Tristana matchup is that there aren't many pros for the Vayne. Let's see Flandre here.
Pepper with huge damage and the assassination. That's going to be a good grill as Gimgoon locks down his own kill in the top lane.
That range was ridiculous.
Pretty big. I have had a lot of kills stolen by Pulse with just one button. It's actually a lot like that. You do all of the hard work, and then Urgot presses one button and takes the kill.
All right. Well, I think FPX Gimgoon might have shown his hand a little bit. Now when he goes to blind pick the Gangplank, he might need to keep that in mind. We've been seeing a lot of Gangplank counter picks show up all over the different regions. For LCK, we just saw Lucian being played yesterday. Let's see.
That's a knockup. Crisp is actually very low, pinned against the wall. He goes down. Flandre with the cannon barrage. A dive in the back from SOFM, and Guoguo gives 2 kills, but still, first brick to FPX. Snake are going to answer.
Yep, that was a really smart play. They just saw Ryze teleport to the mid lane, knew that there was no response coming in from the enemy team. And like we said, the way that Snake wants to get this bot lane going is really to focus on Crisp. There's so much CC in that bottom lane that I don't feel like the Tahm Kench should be able to get out of the game without 5 deaths. Like, I think that's bare minimum.
Knowing that, he's going to try to play a little bit safer here as the next dragon will be coming up soon, a mountain dragon, and Rift Herald seems to be the target again from FPX. We talked about it earlier. It's always 2-for-1 trades, just slowly inching up an advantage over your opponents, and while Snake is ahead in gold, how long is that going to last if FPX continue to trade like this?
Yeah, I'm really interested in where they're going to place this Rift Herald. I feel like you really have to think about where Urgot wants to go on the rest of the map, because he's not really a teamfight pick. He's a continuous push pick. We've seen him being played, I believe it was All-Stars. I think Gigabyte Marines actually picked it and beat Immortal, so that would be Worlds. In fact, not All-Stars, sorry. So the way this pick is played is kind of like a constant pusher. So you don't really want to drop this Herald where Gimgoon is going to push. You want to be it on the opposite side. So what I think FPX is going to try to do in the next couple of minutes is try to set up like a 4-1 situation where Gimgoon can get an isolation somewhere on the map and they push 4-man with the Herald.
That's what we almost saw in the bottom half of the map. Gimgoon pushing up against Crystal, who decides to go for BF Sword's Static Shiv first for some early wave clear. But now he's just hanging around in the river in between the two, holding on to his teleport.
Yep, this is now the standard Vayne type of build where you go triple crit items. She was changed in Season 7 where you can't crit off the tumble. So that was a kind of a big thing for her. I know some people still prefer to play her with the Rage Blade. People like Uzi definitely do.
Oh, Pepper finds SOFM with big damage, who might have overextended. Hootie tries to follow up, but is separated from his team. Almost lands the stun onto Pepper, but with Crystal showing up, the two teams disengaged. Nobody wants to feed the Vayne.
Yeah, nobody wanted to really play that because Cannon Barrage was up for Snake, but they also had SOFM very low, so both teams just decided to back out of that fight.
Just playing it nice and calm. Still pushing up here in this lane as SOFM tries to invade, but this time gets punished. That's not going to stop him, though, as LWX catches these minions in the mid lane. Close to even CS with that Vayne, which is not a place you want to be, just about ever.
This is very interesting from FPX. Both games, they try to go for a 1-3-1 style, play it slower than some of the other LPL teams that are constantly grouping up.
Ooh, Pepper sneaking in and dropping the ward. That's a teleport from Gimgoon to get in. Pepper with the steal gets in. That's a teleport from Flandre. Cannon Barrage there looking for SOFM, but do not find him. And the teleport is canceled by Flandre, though the dragon was taken by FPX. Beautiful. And the Realm Warp into mid lane. An immediate Rift Herald from Pepper. They could try to get here too quick.
He timed that with his team members cleaning out the minion wave as well.
Oh, wow. And they also take the tier 1. Snake are left reeling with the immediate decision from FPX to punish them.
They got 2 objectives, a teleport as well, so wow.
Yeah,
they just play this map really well.
2 objectives for the price of none. They just get in and get out, and suddenly it's only 500 gold separating these two teams.
Yeah, and I don't really see how Snake can, like, even though like Urgot isn't much of a team fight pick, Snake's team fight in the late game is not exactly good. There's not much that separates, that takes Vayne above Tristana in the late game. She doesn't necessarily deal more damage. She's also has a much shorter range, and you're going up against people like Ryze and Kha'Zix that can
make it really difficult
with you. Yeah.
With that difficulty, Crystal is going to have to show us why he is still here on the team as one of the better AD carries. Of course, he's matured quite a bit over the past 2 years, but still has a tendency to tumble forward, if you will.
I just don't see how Crystal gets that many auto attacks off. There's too many things he needs to look for. Kha'Zix is one, the Rune Prison is another, and you also have to be aware of Urgot just throwing you back into his own composition. The same can be said for Gangplank as well. So it's kind of a difficult teamfight composition to pull off for Snake. And they don't really have a split push edge either. I'm really wondering how they're going to get back into the game.
Well, this seems to be a good way to do it. Snake sending Hootie and Crystal towards the top lane. They're able to find it with only Gimgoon defending. He falls back to try to defend as FPX, they seem to accept this trade. They give up the tier 1, but they're shoving mid. They're shoving bottom. You can see Bing already pushing that wave in. Cannon Barrage on the minion wave. Nether Grasp onto that Tahm Kench, who is very tanky. He's silenced, he's knocked up, can't shield. Realm Warp, will he get out of there? No, that's going to be bringing Bing in. He flashes away, but goes down. They trade for the kill as LWX forced to leap away. Malefic Visions and the last second stopwatch. And he sneaks away. Guo, he's looking for the chase, though. He's looking for something, but Pepper is going to escort his carries to safety. And somehow it only ends up being a 1-for-1. Still a fight in the river as the rest of Snake want to chase down these kills. And FPX just say no and back away.
That was a good play from Snake right there. I think the main thing they were working off of was how slow Gimgoon would actually take to move into that fight. You could see him trekking down on his 8 legs. I was about to say wheelchair, but that's probably not what it is. He came down there, and it took him a long time, so Snake did have some time to really like fight 5v4 in that situation and push FPX off the map.
That's a bit of an overzealous teleport there from Bing. It's 18.5 minutes in. There's no Baron for them to fight over. There's teleport for blue buff, I suppose, which they will be able to take without a fight. And instead, FPX, they just reset back into the same position they were just in on the map. Only this time they're down a stopwatch on Tristana.
That was actually a fine trade for Snake. They got a free tower and didn't lose anything on their side. Also found out a way to how to deal with his Urgot. You basically can play around him by shoving him in the side lane and trying to fight 5v4s elsewhere on the map. Let's see if they can make that happen again.
Yeah, without that teleport, it's so tough for Gimgoon to get himself around. 6 legs can only get you so far as he's lumbering around.
He does have 8, I believe.
I'm fairly certain it's 6.
6?
Yeah.
So he's an okay.
Yeah, okay, yes. All right, well, we'll get somebody to confirm it to us. I'm sure Pulse is furiously tweeting at us right now. As you do.
Clement, how do you dare call yourself a color caster when you can't count the number of legs?
It's too real. It's too real, man. FPX now find themselves here in the mid lane. Looks like it is a 1-3-1 split. They've got teleport ready, almost ready for Gimgoon. Bing pretty far away from his own, but with the Realm Warp, he can get close to his team in time, should anything transpire. And SOFM,
they're looking for the fight.
Just trying to sneak around, but Pepper has been on top of SOFM. Anytime he tries to get in there, Pepper is playing goalkeeper, saying, "You're not getting past me."
Gimgoon on the push once more. It's going to take this tower fairly easily. We've seen so far that Snake has not been really willing to challenge Gimgoon at this point. With his build coming in here with probably Frozen Mallet next, they might be worried that he could...
Oh, there's a dive top. Bing shields Realm Warps.
Does he have Zhonya's? Nope.
He does not, but he doesn't need it. He's able to get away with the Malefic Visions burning on top of him. Now Pepper is behind them, drops the control ward. He knows Malice has no ultimate, but he has been spotted well in advance. Meanwhile, Crystal is taking some damage from LWX as FPX are hunting down some kills. They're going to try to find someone here. Who's it going to be? That's a teleport from Gimgoon. He's going to try to catch up. Crystal goes low. A late flash. He's pinned against the wall, but dies to a great lash from Crisp. And FPX find themselves a kill. And Clement Baron is up. SOFM is right there. This would be a risky play if they go for it, but FPX, they're going to take the choice into their own hands and start burning through its health.
Right, so now Gangplank still has... Pepper's almost going to go down. He actually goes down.
A huge mistake from Pepper. Not keeping an eye on his health.
Yeah, that was the cannon barrage coming down from Gangplank, netting him the kill right there. So it forces them off the Baron play.
And now Snake, they're actually shoving right up in this mid lane. They take the tier 1, turning now onto the tier 2, punishing FPX for the smallest of mistakes, not tracking your health correctly on the Baron. And it's 2 turrets for Snake after losing a fight. I've never thought I'd hear myself saying something like that.
Yeah, he's clawing his way back into the game, does not want to disappoint the hometown crowd here in Chongqing.
You heard from Crystal, the Chongqingers, as we heard from him. Very proud people, very happy and excitable. You can hear the crowd cheering over and over again.
Yep, famous
for the crowds.
Their hot pots and spicy food, laid back attitude.
And Pepper is doing the best he can to enjoy some spicy plays, but now FPX trying to upset this. Snake going to defend. Here comes the wave, pushing in.
So neither top laner has their teleports anymore. We're going to see a 5-man group here from FPX going into the Baron pit. I feel like they have a much stronger teamfight composition than Snake does, but they will have to find a way for Pepper to get into that backline, so a lot of attention has to be there on how Pepper maneuvers himself into a good position.
Ooh, that's a good Realm Warp. 4 members. They're moving right on up. They've caught up to Hootie. That's Nether Grasp as the fight breaks into a brawl. SOFM is looking for it. Pepper tries to find the assassination, but his stealth wears off. SOFM with a stopwatch. He doesn't get the knockup. Gimgoon is low,
go down.
And he goes in, still alive, but finally dies. And that's going to be Crystal
LWX.
in the front. The stopwatch. He finally dies to the crit. Like you said, LWX is doing work. Chris tries to clean it across the side. It's an all-out melee, and Snake looked to be winning. Flandre with the burn takes down the kill.
Wow, that was... first, I feel like LWX probably should not have taken that much damage in the fight. It was a straight engage from FPX, and you could also see on the back lines that Pepper really had a hard time trying to lock down Crystal right there. Crystal getting 2 shots on him, and you can see Pepper going back in again. Still doesn't get anything. Let's see how LWX actually fell down in this fight. He was caught in the Cataclysm, so that took down a lot of his health. Guoguo with a great positioning on this team fight. Doesn't really matter if Chris is able to devour him, because the Malefic Vision still does damage even when you're devoured. And finally, Flandre coming in, able to clean up that fight there.
And that's going to be Snake, able to take a very convincing team fight. FPX try to find the opportunity to break them open, but find themselves unable. Through very close execution, 25 minutes in, Baron has been up, and now Snake are starting to pick up some momentum. They're 3,500 gold ahead, but they are winning these fights. Vayne, 2.5 items, nearly 3, almost completely online. Meanwhile, FPX, they're struggling to find a way to deal with it.
Yeah, it's just taken too long to get onto Crystal in that team fight, and that was the main worry we were talking about before the fight even happened. So Pepper really needs to think about how he wants to get into the backline at this point, and also felt like FPX's target selection in that fight wasn't terrific. They had to focus Hootie because it was the only person they got, and Guoguo and Crystal were able to dish out way too much damage right there. It was a good try, but if they want to do that again, I feel like it would be better if they can do it in the jungle instead of in the lanes.
And you can see the gold on your screen right now. You'll notice it's very close to even just about everywhere, except for in the top lane. Flandre on that gangplank, despite being 20 CS ahead, he's 3,000 gold ahead of Gimgoon. And if my eyes don't deceive me, that's exactly the gold difference between these two teams.
So Flandre definitely knew his situation. He actually bought into the gold generation items. We call them investum items, basically in the LPL vernacular. SS starting.
Start off the Baron here. Hootie getting it low along with the rest of his team. As Pepper's on the side, they immediately turn and engage. That's a Realm Warp to get themselves to safety. Spitting out Bing as LWX kites it around, but that leaves Crisp out to dry, and he is burned down. Pepper in the back is behind them. He's managed to find SOFM and does the exact same thing that happened to him in the previous game. Pepper finally gets the kill. So without that smite, it's going to be a little more difficult to do this Baron, but that is FPX losing another fight.
Yeah, and that was very decisive from Snake right there. They caught an opportunity where Pepper was not in position to deal any damage, and they just bursted down the front line. You could see at the start of the fight, Crystal got 2 free shots on LWX, basically forcing him out at the beginning of the confrontation, and now we see Snake going back onto Baron.
Teleport from Gimgoon to race towards the pit, and Snake seeing that over the wall, play it nice and safe. They allow themselves to fall back. They don't want to give up their kills or their gold lead.
That's a really cool animation from Urgot right there.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, he's got the speed boost. He lifts his legs and flies. Battlecast Urgot. And now, this is a spicy game. What are you? Holy cow, they're just going right into it. Alrighty. Realm Warp is ready for Bing. Baron's at 4,000 health. Guoguo with the flash engage has found Pepper, but Chris with the denial says you can't kill him while I'm watching.
So I don't think either team is going to be confident enough to really go straight back to the Baron at this point. Malzahar without his ultimate is not really that good in terms of team fighting. So we're going to see a reset coming out here.
And the map resets once again. Hootie and the rest of Snake clear out vision around this Baron. I swear, if they start doing this Baron again and just keep trading back and forth, We're gonna have ourselves some words.
Yeah, even though Gimgoon doesn't have teleport, I feel like Snake is smart enough that they're not going to try this. They don't want to be locked inside the Baron Pit with a Realm Warp right in front of them. So, yep, it's like that would basically kill Vayne. She would have nothing to do in that team fight. So they're backing off, going to reset themselves. Just make sure that this area is still controlled by their own vision.
Now, FPX, like you said, sweeping out, trying to control this vision. Dragon's up in 10 seconds. FPX have gotten the previous 3, and you can see Gimgoon is heading, or excuse me, Flandre, I see the Gangplank, I automatically assume. Flandre heading bottom with that Gangplank to clear out this wave. He has teleport and cannon barrage, but FPX immediately step into the pit on top of the Scuttle Crab.
There
Recall
is no
from Flandre.
Here.
They see LWX on top of it. Here goes Guogo looking for it, and they get the Baron. No contest. Realm Warp, everyone's getting in and out of there. Meanwhile, Crisp leaping away along with LWX. FPX are able to steal it away from under Snake's noses.
Yeah, Snake just underestimated how much damage FPX could sneak in with their Mountain Drake and their Infernal Drake at that moment right there. It took them less than 10 seconds to really take that Baron down.
That's the power of the isolation damage from Kha'Zix and a 3-item Tristana. Now that Mountain Dragon is still available, immediately FPX, they decide, hey, we've got Elder Dragon coming up after this one. Might as well secure the 4th to really make that buff something to be respected. With Baron on all 5. No teleport for Gimgoon. FPX are going to start setting themselves up on the map.
Yep. They should, however, beware about establishing forward vision. I feel like Gangplank at this point in the game is actually incredibly dangerous. We see his crit items pretty much all built out, and if he lands triple barrels on a grouped up FPX composition, he could change the tides of battle. So that's something they need to be aware. They need wards all over these walls going into Snake's base.
Ooh, Pepper. Playing very similar to SOFM, just sneaking around on the side, sweeping out vision, trying to be a nuisance while the rest of his team pushes up. LWX poking away at these turrets time and time again. Every time that explosive shot is on cooldown, it is a threat. And with 2 minutes on the Baron buff, that is 4 full minion waves on that bottom lane that Snake have to worry about.
They also have to be aware of Gimgoon's positioning. If he's split pushing outside, he's not going to come into the fight in time to do any real damage. So FPX, they need to keep their composition relatively tight. They can't really have Gimgoon split off too much. Yeah, he's coming back from the mid lane there. He knows the danger. And what we should be really prioritizing here is if Flandre can land those triple barrels. You see 1 barrel sticking right here. They know they're going to try to pop wards over this wall. Let's just see how they defend it.
Already you can see, we saw LWX skirting around the edges of one of those big barrels. Triforce, Sterex, Infinity Edge. That barrel is going to really hurt if LWX manages to get caught by it.
Yeah, and it also will take down Gimgoon relatively fast. He is not a very tanky champion at this point in the game.
Well, we'll have to see, as now 60 seconds left on that Baron. They decide to recall as a collective unit and spend some of that banked up gold that they have.
Now, this is a very interesting situation, mainly because of the Urgot. Even with FPX, with the longer range siege on Tristana, they're not really comfortable going into the high ground of Snake at this point. They know that their teamfight composition is very vulnerable if they group up. You have the cannon barrage going down, you have Flandre barreling over the wall at the same time. So I feel like FPX, at this moment in time, they're trying to figure out what's the correct way to proceed with their buffs.
Perhaps allowing Gimgoon to stand in the front with the likes of a Gargoyle Stone Plate and now that Null Magic Mantle. That might be something to allow him to survive some of the poke.
Yeah, I feel like maybe being on the split push position might be the correct way to go right here. Let's see if they figure out something. Because I don't mean Gimgoon, sorry. Bing's Rise needs to be the split push position, while Gimgoon needs to be with the team.
Standing in the front, soaking as much damage as he can. There goes a big barrel to clear the wave. As Flandre steps in and out, weaving backwards and forwards. Crystal with a big auto attack and fleet footwork continues to chase with the sidestep. He's got some happy feet, and he's trying to show off how happy he is. Meanwhile, that's going to be Guardian Angel popped onto Pepper. He will be denied. Leaps. Oh my God! He made it out alive. The shield is burning away.
Cannon
The Malefic
Barrage
Visions, and the
comes down.
Cannon Barrage gets the kill. Bing is slowed, goes to try to escape, but Crystal is on the hunt. 1 auto, 2 auto, but not a third as he is snared. But the jungler is dead, and Snake have got some momentum.
Well, that was really good timing from Snake. Crystal knew that his primary 2 threats, the Rise and the Kha'Zix, weren't in the front line. Tumbles directly forward and lands auto attacks on LWX. That was really good to watch. I mean,
what is
really
LWX doing? He's split pushing for an inhibitor right now, while Snake, as 5, are pushing into his base. There's no way he is faster than that.
Yeah, that was definitely a misplay from LWX there.
Snake are pushing in onto the Nexus turret. Recall only just now completed as they're skirmishing over it, but they've lost a Nexus turret to LWX's hubris. Gimgoon steps forward to escort Snake to safety, but the damage has already been done. The inhibitor has been broken.
Oh, takes LWX to half health with just 1 barrel. So that might be a game changer. We need to keep our eyes out for further down the line.
And now 33 minutes in, 2 minutes until that Baron, 90 seconds until that Elder Dragon respawns. These late game objectives are huge. Gangplank is very close to those 6 items. So too is that Vayne. And Snake, they've got a late game team fight team. They are ready to late game team fight.
The thing for FPX is they cannot let Snake set up on objectives before they do. It's way too dangerous to go into an area where you know Gangplank has just been there. And also, if you're walking into an area where you don't have vision, that means Pepper is not going to be able to flank the Vayne. And I think that's just going to give Crystal free reign over the team fight. So let's see what they try to do. They really have to maneuver themselves by pushing a minion wave and then walking into the objective areas. They really need to draw Snake out of these pits.
Well, the way that they're doing it right now, by shoving in the mid lane with those super minions, with Guoguo setting up bottom and a wave building on the opposite side of the map, even red buff on Crystal. Every piece in its place, every place has its piece. Now, Elder Dragon is up in 30 seconds, Baron in 45, and Snake already.
Yeah, the timing is a bit unfortunate for FPX because Snake can take the Elder Drake and then still have enough time to head toward Baron right now. So you can see what this is what the teams are jockeying over. FPX is trying to push mid.
Oh, Barrel just nearly misses. Ward will get placed down by FPX. Flandre on the side, skirmishing with Gimgoon. LWX steps forward for an attack onto Hootie.
Yep, they just need 1 barrel to turn the team fight.
Already 1 turret goes down. Flandre over the wall, engages the Dragon. He's going to be tanking in the front. Pepper is behind the pit looking for a steal. 15 to 14, so more damage onto Pepper. But it is FPX who are currently tanking those hits. If FPX get this, it is a lot of true damage.
And you can see Pepper trying to look for the flanks. He actually moved behind the Dragon Pit and now is going
he's
around.
Found SOFM. He's getting a lot of damage. GA is still up. The
execution.
He catches
him over the wall.
He pulls him in. Guardian Angel keeps him alive, but Cannon Barrage allows the fight to reset. SOFM is slowed, but dashes away. Shielded by his team, he's still alive, and still FPX are playing around those barrels.
I actually think that Snake can't really contest this anymore. They're down the Gangplank ultimate, and I don't think SoFM can go back in.
Low. Already the damage, 6,000 health left on that Elder Dragon. It resets. Super minions shoving down the mid lane, and FPX's time is up. They have to defend their base, which means giving up the Dragon. But the Realm Warp to the Baron. They faked it indeed. They're going to trade 1 neutral for another. Empowered Recall will get them home in time.
Wow, so there was 2 really good plays by FPX right there. They were able to move into this area where they had no vision, and they didn't take any barrels from Gangplank. So that was the first good thing. The second good thing was that Pepper really read SoFM like a book. He just ran around. He knew that he was trying to get the same engage that he was, and instantly basically took SoFM out of that fight right there. Also a really nifty play there to trade the Baron for the Elder Drake. I actually think that goes into FPX's favor at this point.
Red buff picked up by LWX. And with this Baron buff, FPX will have a much easier time defending, as Snake still 3,000 gold ahead of FPX. 37 minutes into the game. These teams are neck and neck.
Yeah, this Baron buff is going to give FPX enough time for their own inhibitor to come back up. The only thing they need to be aware about is getting caught in these 150 seconds where the Elder Drake is up for Snake. And if they do manage to get a big team fight, they could possibly end the game right then and now. So FPX should just play very conservative and try to stay in their high ground as long as possible. Just don't let another inhibitor fall down and they're fine.
That's exactly what we see as they are defending their inhibitor. Guoguo steps forward, gets a good amount of burn onto LWX, but he'll be able to heal up with his Mercurial Scimitar. Meanwhile, Vision has been almost completely swept out from FPX. No chance of a flanking teleport, no chance of a collapse from any other direction as they are nearly obsessively clearing out the Vision as the inhibitor respawns just in time for Snake to siege it again.
Yep, and if we look at the timers here, there's still about 30 seconds on Elder Drake for Snake, so they are going to look to force this inhibitor down. But as we see right now, Hootie is actually taking a lot of damage from that long-range WX Tristana.
SOFM is behind them. He's been spotted. Pepper sneaks forward. There's no GA, but they turn towards Pepper. Meanwhile, LWX has killed SOFM. GA is ready for Pepper. He's got his flash up, but LWX is leaping forward. They're trying to get these kills. They pop GA on the far side. Crystal trying to clean up Gimgoon. He flashes for the chase. He's looking for Bing. He's snared, and he gets it. It's 2 versus 3. And now LWX leaps in. The ultimate is still burning. Alive. That's a quick tumble. He stealths in, and LWX can't get through the Unbreakable. He tumbles again and gets the kill. Crystal will die, though. And FPX take the fight. They try to go for the skill matchup, but they do not meet the bar.
Yeah, I feel like Snake were a little bit too eager to use the last few seconds of their Elder Drake. SOFM looking for an engage on LWX, but it gets instantly caught out. Pepper is just reading this guy. Guoguo falls down, Flandre is in a really bad position, so it's basically them trading 3v2s on either side of the map and winning their respective points, but FPX comes out ahead one person.
LWX, never the one to back down, leaps in again and calls Crystal's bluff. He sees the tumble. He goes down, but he trusts his team to follow him up, allowing the double kill and the one fight from FPX.
Yeah, I actually feel like that was a bait from LWX just to get Crystal to tumble back into him. I know this is the LPL, but
trading 1 kill for 2, I mean that takes forethought. That requires some decisive thinking. In FPX, they seem to be demonstrating that in spades here. As we've got a jungle skirmish over Raptors. Pepper, I have no idea what you're doing there, but now you're gonna have to go home and sit and think about what you've done.
Yeah, this is gonna give the inhibitor over to Snake. That's just a free inhib. That was really weird from Pepper, going very overconfident there.
Now he will have to sit and watch as his team tries to defend. Gimgoon has got teleport. There are no big neutral objectives on the map, but like you said, that inhibitor is still up. Crystal immediately steps forward with the rest of his team to break it down. LWX is behind Snake with a late recall, and he's been spotted though. He looks for the play. He's found Flandre. Look at the damage. A quick cleanse as he gets the auto attack, and Flandre will go down. LWX, what on earth are you doing? He's doing his best SOFM impression. Without him there, that's no wave clear. It's going to be up to Bing. He's Zanyas to make himself back onto the fountain, but the chase from Crystal, he finds it. The shield, he just needs a single auto attack, but he does not get it. Gimgoon protects it, but the Nexus itself is being attacked. It's being sieged, and it goes down. Snake bring the series 1-1.
So LWX was trying to win the game the same way he got advantages against EDG. Just hide behind the enemy team and hope you can 1v2. But it didn't work out that game. FPX playing so well for the first 40 minutes, but that inexplicable mistake coming out from Pepper.
You can see the fans are ecstatic. The Snake fans absolutely representing as Chongqing is going very loud to support their home team. But now here to help support us on the desk and break down what just happened is Frosker, and welcome back.
I don't know if you could hear us, Dom, if your guys' mics were picking it up, but Raz, Fish, and I were losing it over in the corner there. That was such a wild game. Like, that last 10 minutes, that was great.
Yeah, that was really unpredictable, I would say. There were a lot of mistakes made on that point, but overall, still really interesting.
Yeah, I'll rephrase. Great from an entertainment standpoint. From some analytical perspectives, that was some, like, yakety sax.
yeah. I just want to feel like, I feel like this game, Flandre made a great recovery from his early game. He was tower dive, killed at before he was even level 6, and was able to come back into the game with his investment items, gold generation items, and he really stalled out a lot of the sieges. He killed Pepper in the Baron pit and also stalled out that bottom lane siege. So for me, he was really the main player that kept Snake alive in this game.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and I really want to start this conversation kind of with that, Gangplank into Urgot, because Urgot was kind of the big surprise pick. We should have known that we're going to have a wild game as soon as we saw that pick. Talking with Raz backstage, we both agree we like the Urgot into GP, but the thing is we feel that you need to pressure that more. You need to dive a couple more. You need to punish it. And yes, Flandre fell down a little bit, but obviously not enough, because then Urgot went to a full tank build, and he was so slow to rotations on team fights, he really wasn't able to absorb enough damage because he doesn't have any real CC in his kit. So that was kind of the big issue. Like, Urgot, as an idea for lane phase, can be executed on against a GP, but it wasn't in that game.
And what was it that didn't allow Gimgoon to pull this off?
Oh, well, Pepper really just didn't give him the time of day or the attention. Like, Flandre played the lane well enough. Again, Urgot really only works into the GP lane if you're pressuring, if you're able to, because he forced him off his barrels, he can clear them from a distance, and then you just set up for the dives, especially with the Kha'Zix, and that happened a couple of times, but you can do that more.
Yeah, I feel like Snake really got back into the game once they realized, hey, if Gimgoon is pushing, we can instantly 5-man, and he has to walk all the way over here. And they did that a couple times. Gimgoon only managed to take down 2 towers. It was the first tower in the top and the first tower in the bottom lane. And after that, he wasn't really much of a split push threat. So I feel like if you want to go all in on the Urgot, you need to go all in. The mid needs to be there, the jungle needs to be there.
I mean, it really creates such a difficult dichotomy for Pepper to choose who he's going to aggress on, because it really seemed like he was playing goalie to SOFM. Anytime SOFM tried to invade, Pepper was on top of him, trying to keep him out of his jungle and keep his lane safe.
SOFM did have a much stronger game, especially on his read this time around. He was making proactive plays. Snake were also making great trades when FPX were, pressuring top side. They were taking bottom side. SOFM was constantly in the right position. He got 3 kills early on, which if you're a full damage Jarvan, he's like, yes, Black Cleaver time, and I'm just going to land on someone and watch him explode. That said, FPX should have won this game. They were in full control for about 40 minutes, but then, again, cue the yakety sacks. I don't know how Crystal or LWX are able to sit in their chairs with balls that big. They were so aggressive. Like, just started jumping forward into, multiple people. Vayne and Braum, when Triss leapt forward, Raz and I just lost our minds. We're like, what are you doing?
It's 1v2. You have a base open.
Oh, my God.
Go back.
Crazy.
It's tough to say, but the fact that I think we're seeing the beginning of a rivalry here, because it's FPX bringing the heat in Snake's inaugural game. You can hear the fans in the arena screaming head-to-head, but we're seeing both Crystal and LWX butt heads so aggressively. This could be something that gets a little spicy as the LPL goes on.
You can feel that LWX wants it too. Again, this guy had a lot of hype driving on him when he was on Newbie. Unfortunately, he got overshadowed by Swift being on his team, but also the fact that Newbie really never made that big surge late game. And now he just wants it even more, and you can see it in his play. But I am glad that SOFM got man of the match. I think his performance from Game 1 to Game 2 certainly made a black and white change, and he definitely deserves this.
Yeah, I definitely think like he recognized the weakness in the bot lane, went there a couple times, and even though I felt like Pepper outplayed him in a lot of the middle section of the game, he did get that final pick to secure the inhibitor and the victory for Snake.
And of course, the great collapse to find LWX out on the map. But still, Snake, their early game was a little touch and go here and there with Pepper trying to play goalie, though we did see SOFM start to pick up some early kills. But to come back to what you mentioned earlier, they're starting to look remarkably clean in some of these team fights. I mean, yakety sacks aside, when they find the 5v5 that they want, it looks good.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with Flandre and Guoguo. Guoguo's target selection, especially when he's given lockdown champions, is rather impressive. It was one of the big differences and changes when they moved from Zatai as their previous mid laner to Guoguo now. And Flandre, again, is just, he's stepping up. Gangplank, Vladimir have always been his champions. He's definitely buffed by the meta right now, so they should continue to thrive as long as this patch stays strong.
My only concern for Snake right now is I feel like they're losing their bot lane a little bit too much. They don't seem like they have the confidence to go into that Varus pick, and they're just taking picks that are somewhat comfort picks in our in my view. Like, if you're taking the Vayne and you know the enemy has just played Tristana in the first game, you really expect that lane to be pushed in constantly. And I kind of feel like this really gives a leg up to LWX. You see Snake in both of these games have to really claw their way back into the game because of the losing lanes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You look at who they're against. Vayne should have never been able to hit any of these targets.
No.
Rise in Tristana, and somehow he was able to do it.
We'll have to see how that works coming into game number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our first game 3 of 2018. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
新赛季我觉得我最大的进步是更为团队着想了，想着怎么去帮助团队建立优势这种东西。然后新来的新 AD Light 的话，他也是一个非常强的 AD， 就是我们的不同是可能我经验比他多一点，然后也很享受和他竞争的感觉。
There you go. We have Crystal not only talking about his AD carry on his team, but also how he feels like he's improved coming into this split, being a bit more of a team player. You know, he was a little bit aggressive in that last match, but he does feel like he's a bit more of a team player now.
Definitely. I feel like even in those instances, you look back to when he first came into the LPL and you see real growing points, right? So I love the fact you talked about the AD carry and the team, Light, who's getting hyped up, right? There's a lot of new AD carries coming into the LPL. I'll hopefully get to see him at least once. But yeah, that's fun to see him thinking about that, being a lot more, or at least valuing his experience in the league.
Well, we're going to go into Game 3 shortly. FunPlus Phoenix going up against Snake Esports. In that last match, we got to see Urgot being picked up in the top lane. I know we've talked about it time and time again, but Raz, I know you have a few words that you want to say about this champion.
I have an opinion on this. Yes, I do. Okay, here's the thing. If you're going to play Urgot top lane, please play to the Urgot. Please bring your jungler up top lane. Please bring a roaming mid laner to be able to get that matchup ahead. It is an early game laning focused champion that you want to be able to dominate early. And GP does pretty well into the matchup. It has range answers. You can farm pretty okay with it. You have the orange to kind of deal with the ult suppression. That's something that he can deal with if he's alone in the matchup, and he was. And so Urgot built armor boots. He just realized that he was just stuck in the lane, and I was like, okay, well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to go into these massive team fights, and what do? You just run around with 8 legs, absolutely useless in these team fights. So I would say that if you're going to play the pick, play to the pick.
Well, they weren't able to do that. Maybe we'll get some more Urgot running around on 8 legs, as both Clement and Raz has mentioned. And I think Dom mentioned during the cast as well, 3,000 at goal was on the top lane to Flandre playing Gangplank. But the main question I really want to ask here is, who is the better team going into game number 3? Because we've already seen FPX pick up a game. They looked good in game 2, but that went to Snake instead. So who's the better team?
I am still going to stand by FPX because I feel like it is their mistakes that are giving the game back to Snake. That Snake are simply capitalizing on where they make errors as opposed to Snake grabbing the reins of the game, you know, holding that driver's wheel and then just plowing through FPX. It was Pepper getting caught out, 40 minutes on Raptor Camp, on enemy Raptor Camp, which is like, okay, stop intentionally feeding. Boom, you'll probably win the game. LWX jumping forward into harm's way. Okay, maybe learn how to position in a team fight better than that. And I think if you clean that up, FPX win pretty easy.
And that's the big point, is that whenever you get to a more scrappier, skirmish-heavy gameplay and you're going up against Snake, that's when Snake can take wins, or at least historically has. And so I felt like I still saw some really good points from FPX when they were using their Realm Warps pretty intelligently, especially when they used it to be able to get to the mid lane and get the Rip Trails going.
Or even out of the Baron Pit.
Exactly. So there are some great points to them. There just needs to be more stability as the game goes on, and that's what they lack this time around.
We've already seen FPX pick up some interesting picks, like the Urgot. We've seen a few interesting champions like Gangplank, which has already been played earlier on in the week. What are we going to expect to change between these two teams going into that third and final game?
I think we'll play a bit more standard. I think there's going to be more emphasis on grabbing Camille again. I think Gimgoon feels very comfortable on that champion, but Snake shouldn't let that through.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just to echo to the point, Gimgoon was an explorer that game too, and I don't want him exploring. I want him to just go back to the stock standard.
Well, we already had a lot of exploring going on from Urgot as well as Gimgoon there. Going into the third match, you already said, you know, expected change coming out from top side of map, especially. What about the bottom lane? We talked a lot about LWX as well. Is he going to be that hyped up player that's really flashy, jumping into the opposition still? Will we see him, you know, a bit more laid back now?
Hopefully he tones down the aggression. I think we're going to still see Tristana because the pick has been so successful for them. Snake actually really need to tweak their bottom lane because they're getting blown out in the lane phase both games.
And have we ever seen a toned down LWX? Real question here. I know we saw it on the video piece a little earlier on about the experience of Flandre, or at least experience of Crystal. Crystal saying that, well, he's now
a team player.
Exactly, he's a team player, and even though that last game was probably not the best example of that, we saw him being able to play more with the team throughout the, like I would say throughout last year in the end of the year, or earlier on I would say in the third-party tournaments. That's a great thing that he's had. I think LWX needs that experience.
Yeah, I would agree. LWX reminds me very much of Name as kind of that play style where he tries to maximize his damage output before going down. And that sounds like, of course, every ADC would want to maximize their damage output. But the thing that made Name different from someone like Uzi is Uzi's target selection was always incredibly good, but Name would be the dude who dashes forward or jumps forward to maximize that damage output before dying. So when it works, looks great. When it doesn't, egg on his face, and that's LWX for me.
100%. I agree with that holistically.
Well, that's enough from us here at the Analyst Desk. We're going to go into game number 3 very shortly between FPX going up against Snake Esports. We're going to send it over to our casters. It's going to be Dom as well as Clement.
我觉得主客场的优点的话，如果能去到客场，像四川、成都这种地方的话，因为我比较喜欢吃辣嘛，所以去这种地方吃火锅会比较开心吧。我觉得主客场的缺点的话，就是可能要坐车啊，或者要坐飞机，就比较累吧，可能会。
Welcome back, everyone. We're getting into our final game of this Friday night. Game 3 between FPX and Snake, the newest, hottest rivalry to hit the LPL here. And already, we've got a couple of bans on the board. Callista Alistair banned away from Crystal and Hootie. That's LWX's Kog'Maw. Jarvan taken away as FPX now find themselves on the blue side. And we don't have time for pleasantries, Clement. We're getting right into the action.
You didn't even get a shot of us, so we're coming right back in here. FPX banning out Snake's most prominent bot lane. We've seen Snake pick Callista on the red side in the first rotation multiple times in the Demacia Cup. So again, they're taking it away. Rise is also I personally feel like it's Guoguo's best champion for Snake. Now, Guoguo has been known to play very intelligently with his realm orb, get engages with his team. So all three of these bans I feel like are really well placed from FPX now. Now Snake has to think about what they kind of want to take out of FPX's playbook. So far, I feel like the Tristana has been a huge problem for them, especially in the late game. They really need to run into that composition, and that lets FPX set up everything else.
We're looking at the final ban. Some furious words from the coach of Snake as they're trying to lock it in. Tarek taken away. Now Camille is open. Ornn is open. Vladimir is open. Azir. There are so many strong picks up. How are FPX going to try to choose from this litany available to them?
Yeah, Vladimir is definitely one of the, I think it's a higher priority one currently in the LPL. It can be played in the mid lane as well, so you get that flex pick potential in the first rotation. I feel like that's just a solid move. The champions that we are looking, Camille is still up, Ornn is still up, also Malzahar being locked down. So far from this series, it does seem like that nobody really plays Zoe, so that's just been completely off the table right now.
It's good to see Guoguo returning back to the Malzahar that he really has been starting to find his ground on in this series, really synergizing with SOFM. You can see he's sharing a few words with his coach. Can you do the Kazakhs? Can you do it? And FPX nods and locks it in.
Yeah, I like this combo here from the Malzahar and the Kazakhs. It gives them mid lane priority a lot of the times. It's very easy to set up a play here. And also, when you're playing a Vladimir, you're usually running a composition that has to go forward into the enemy team. And Malzahar is very good against that.
Ooh, the Azir looks to be a hover now. With Zoe available, so many other champions ready. Looks like that's going to be what it is as the clock times out. Bing in the mid lane, taken off his rise for the first time in this series, going head-to-head against Guoguo's Malzahar.
It's kind of an interesting combination between the Azir and the Vladimir right here because they really operate at very different ranges. You can't get much poke off with this team composition. At the same time, you want to run into them. Like, these are two completely different things. So I actually feel like Bing might be pressured to play very aggressively. And on the other side, with the first rotation lockdown, we are looking at a lack of physical damage junglers for FPX. I fully expect Snake to just take down the Lee Sin, and I'm not sure what other junglers FPX are really going to pick up now.
We'll certainly find out if Pepper has got some more champions in his repertoire that he can pull out here, but we're looking at the AD carries from FPX. LWX has shown he's quite happy with that Tristana. There's the Sejuani banned away from Pepper, so he's going to have to dig a little bit deeper. And then on the other side, Snake, they're looking for the same thing. Crystal and Hootie, again, saving those later picks for that bottom lane. We'll see how this works out.
And this time they finally have the last pick on the support, and they also have the opportunity to pick up whatever AD carry they want first. So I think this is going to give them a bit more flexibility in the bot lane. This is not something that Snake's bot lanes typically do. On the red side, they typically just go for the Kalista or the Ezreal if it's up. And as we see right now, banning out the last remaining physical jungler there in the Lee Sin. And this is just going to throw FPX composition off. They're not going to have very good skirmishes in the top side of the map when it comes to mid game. Once that Gangplank does get a Hex Drinker, or the Kazakh does opt for a Hex Drinker, it's really difficult to skirmish them.
Alrighty, Snake. Game 3 in your inaugural match in your home stadium.
No.
You can hear the crowd, but he's just doing it to try to please them.
yeah, that's the smart pick. Don't go for the Draven. Don't go for the Draven. This pick is good because it, again, punishes teams that need to run into them, and that's exactly what Vladimir is. So they have a theme set up right here. It's a very difficult composition to run into, but FPX, they're gonna take that challenge straight on.
Ooh, my breath catches in my throat as I see LWX step forward, going to try to match Crystal's performance in Game 2. Rek'Sai now locked in for Pepper, and with Rakan open, we could be seeing the duo in the bottom lane. It's locked in. Clement, we have our compositions. What a quick series of events that have just happened.
Yeah, so this is the first time that I feel Snake is actually going to have a stronger bot lane in the series. Rakan Xayah picked up in the same rotation right here. And also for FPX, I actually feel like the Rek'Sai into Azir combo is one of the weaker mid-early game combos. It's kind of difficult to play out. However, what the Rek'Sai does do very well is that it is a counter into the Kazakhs. The Kazakhs cannot, even if he upgrades his, chooses to evolve into the adaptive cloaking, he'll still be seen by the Rek'Sai through her radar senses. So that's a good counter pick, and also fills out the physical position. That Rek'Sai pick kind of just slipped my mind and really kind of saved the draft for FPX.
I mean, Rek'Sai always seems to slip everyone's mind until she's in your game knocking you up, and you're like, why is this a thing that exists on such short cooldown? But now we've got our final compositions. We're going to have to keep an eye on how this jungle matchup works out, because Pepper has been doing such a great job of tracking SOFM throughout this series, trying to keep it down, and now he's got that tremor sense to try to play around it. But we know SOFM is comfortable with Rek'Sai. He's familiar with how it works. And the coaches shake hands for the final time today, as we are ready to close out the first best of 3 in Chongqing.
The only best of 3 we have so far. So hyped to cast with you, Dom, the first one.
It's going pretty good, Clement. And now with these compositions, the players are on stage. It is do or die time. The fans are, we're about to hear them. I'm excited to see which of the two groups are louder, because while there certainly are many more fans of Snake, those representing FPX have also been very vocal in this series.
Exactly. So if we look down the compositions right here, I actually feel like both at the top and mid, they're going to be pretty passive for much of the early to mid game. Snake, they're probably going to have another topside start, and we're going to see a lot of action in the bot lane. Crystal and Hoodia, they're definitely going to try to push that advantage. You know, when you get the W on the Storm Feathers, you automatically win that lane. Wow.
Quite some cheers. The Snake fans representing quite loudly, but here's
Level 1
the
cheese.
invade. LWX drops a ward, tumbles away. Level 1 tumble, and the ward is still standing. 5 members of Snake, and they don't get anything just yet, but LWX has got to back off.
Yeah, if Snake managed to trade the map northwest to southeast, then that's in their advantage, because they can consistently push that bot lane in and continue to punish the Vayne pick.
There's the recall from Flandre on top of a ward. They can see Guoguo and SOFM were making their way back. That's a quick tongue lash for just a bit of harass out of Crisp. Not able to find anything though, and after the attempted excitement from Snake, looks like we're going to be seeing standard laning phase. Everyone going in with all their summoners. Even footing here in this game 3.
Yeah, SOFM doesn't really have a choice to start topside anymore. That wraparound gank didn't really work, so he's going to have to go for the more traditional standard start. Just go bot, go for your isolated targets, and move topside.
Meanwhile, Pepper, he starts red, heading with that, spotted by that ward, heading towards the top side. And there's SOFM, as you were talking about, going straight for the Gromp. Excellent clear on Kha'Zix. The taste there, fear for some bonus damage. And Pepper going straight buff to buff here.
Yeah, he's definitely worried that the Kha'Zix might try to invade him early. That is a thing that Kha'Zix kit can allow him to do. And I just want to talk a little bit about this Rek'Sai pick. It's really unique for the fact that it's one of the few junglers that does not bring Electrocute. Actually, on most of the Rek'Sais we've seen, it's been press the attack. You knock them up, you get Queen's Wrath 3 times, and then you chomp down on them, and that gets additional damage. And usually your rotation hurts so much that with the Triumph, with the press the attack, you're doing 21% extra damage on that last E right there. So that's kind of the way that we've seen most of, but all right. He brought Electrocute.
Yeah, Pepper, he's thinking of getting some action here. He tunnels in, looks for 1 and 2, and denies SOFM his own jungle. The ward placed by Bing earlier at the cost of his own health is allowing Pepper to be aggressive here. So this is the communication, this is the teamwork that we want to see out of this new team, FPX.
Yeah, we see Bing and Pepper having really good coordination. Bing slanting onto the left side of the ramp. Is he going to finish that teleport?
Wow. That's a bit of a wasted summoner spell. Taking teleport to try to get back in, but Pepper just says, do it. I dare you.
Yeah, that's it's actually a huge...
Ooh, Gimgoon actually gets under the barrel. That's the nullifying orb. He's got to wait out the timer, the auto attack, plus minions attacking Gimgoon.
Gimgoon still has heal, so Flandre basically has to back off here. There's no way that he actually wins that 1v1 trade.
Oh, but SOFM on this side of the map sneaks around behind him and just heads on over to the Gromp, which has already been cleared by Pepper, who now heads on over to the Wolf camp. So still, this is a very tense game. You can see how closely these two teams are trying to jockey for position.
Yeah, there's some really interesting choices here. Actually, Gimgoon not going for Unsealed Spellbook, going for the
Kleptomancy
build. I have seen this build a couple of times, and you go this build if you're very confident you can get a lot of auto attacks down.
Oh, leaps onto him instead of going from under. I've never seen a Rek'Sai attack from that direction. There's the electrocute damage, a knockup, plus the red buff, and Pepper's forced to take a tunnel to safety. Skazik still does some good damage, even on a level down. Yeah, double knockup onto Crisp. He's on the wrong side of things. True Silver Bolts procs just a bit of damage, and Crystal tries to harass with the Blade Caller.
Yep, not able to push this lane fully in. A lot of action actually happening on the top side of the map. I think this is mainly in Snake's favor. They did go for that bot lane 5-man invade just to clear out that side of the map. Make sure everyone goes to the top side. And so far they've got this lane isolated pretty well, but haven't been able to take that much advantage.
Ooh, flash from Crystal to avoid being condemned against the wall. It's a very early time to blow that summoner spell. Perhaps the pressure of the situation, the weight of the arena on their shoulders.
Yeah. So
or just playing it safe, you know, that's also an option.
Yeah, he definitely, if he got condemned into the wall here, that condemn will do double damage, and it would be quite possible for him to just die right there. So I think Crystal made it kind of a safe play. But I'm actually a little bit surprised that they're not able to get more out of this lane at this point. This is a very strong lane just because your level 1 is so powerful. You get that spell, your W, on 2 people at the same time. But later in the game, Vayne actually has an easy time dodging most of your skill shots. If you fire your double daggers at you, she can tumble that fairly easily. So this is not going well for Xayah.
Yeah, Pepper, he's actually tanking both the Raptors and SOFM. That's the electrocute damage. And even Bing pushing up is allowing this play to happen, denying gold and experience to SOFM. FPX are trying to break apart Snake's composition. Malzahar, he's level 6. He flashes in immediately. Pepper follows with a flash of his own. It's very low health on Guo. He doesn't have enough mana either, and he finally uses the Nether Grasp, turns it around. Pepper with the knockup. First blood onto Bing. SOFM flashes away, but Bing with the double kill. And Guo shaken in his chair.
Yeah, that did look like Guo didn't have enough mana. He had to wait for a while for him to actually be able to cast the Nether Grasp. And we can see how smart this combination from Bing and Pepper is. So Bing has the push there, and they're constantly contesting every single Raptors when it comes up. Manages to chunk SOFM first, and then go on Guo, who doesn't really have the mana to fight there.
And this is the exact same strategy that we saw in game number 1. Pepper tracking SOFM, denying the Kha'Zix Malzahar composition, and now they're falling prey to it again. And Pepper, he's looking to make that 2-0 Azir into a 3-0 Azir.
Yeah, that strong point I felt that Snake might have had in the mid lane evaporating straight before my eyes. Misses the teleport and loses the 2v2 right now. I feel like this Malzahar, if we don't count that ultimate, he might need to wait another 10 minutes.
Very well could be. Still though, he's still got the other lanes. Crystal holding on to the minion wave, denying experience, or excuse me, LWX. While Crystal and Hootie get their own recall. BF Sword and the upgraded Targons. Looks like we're seeing SOFM actually taking second blue here.
Yep.
As Cannon Barrage is used to push the wave here.
This is not a very good lane for Gangplank to be in. Actually, later on, Vladimir kind of takes over this lane. The Gangplank can't really trade very efficiently with him, and it sort of becomes this slow push lane, split push lane. But what Gangplank can do is he can influence the other parts of the map slightly better than the Vladimir can. So let's see if they can find their fights in the bot lane and try to snowball off that. So is not looking very good for Snake right now.
I think that side lane effectiveness you were talking about for Gimgoon might perhaps be hampered a bit by the heal summoner spell and the lack of teleport taking Kleptomancy. So he doesn't have Unsealed Spellbook. He's stuck with Flash Heal for the duration of this game. So that means he has to be with his team or close to his team
I'm actually
at
not
all
sure
times.
Yes, Kleptomancy, because I haven't seen a single item pop for him. So either he's clicking those things really fast or
immediately consuming.
Yeah, like he doesn't want to wait for those for those pots of gold to show up.
Yeah, still 8.1, very recent. We're still trying to work out a couple of bugs in the game, so we'll see. We'll keep an eye later on. If we see Vlad teleport, we'll know what's up.
Exactly.
But until then, he's just going to continue trading back and forth with Flandre. 13 CS ahead, though Flandre happy with that because as Gangplank, he will be able to get just a bit extra gold.
All right, so it's definitely Unsealed Spellbook. He has teleport
he has teleport now. There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
And we see Bing now moving down. He's unspotted at this position.
Do you reckon it was just swapped? Because Gangplank had Unsealed Spellbook on the other side when we saw it earlier. It was just flipped 50-50, I think.
All right, that makes sense. That makes sense.
It could be. I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably just like a small mistake.
But go ahead. You were just talking about Bing.
Yeah. So he's leveraging his mid lane push priority very well right now. We can see 2-0-0, so he's going to be able to constantly push in this lane. And it's all about how much you can bring that advantage into your own side lane. So you saw Bing, he just moved down to the Dragon Pit, and instantly Crystal and Hootie had to back out of their lanes. They didn't want to pressure that anymore. And let's just see how FPX kind of leverage that. I feel like they need to go into SoFem's jungle at this point, do what they did in the top side around the Raptors, but try to do it on the blue side, and see if they can just wrap around down and try to get like try to get Vayne going in the game.
Anything to get LWX snowballing. The more kills on a Vayne, the better, unless the Vayne's on the enemy team. And now, Bing and Pepper, looks like they're taking your advice, Clement, trying to look for an opening, but it's so defensive. Crystal and Hootie are just backing away the moment they are out of vision. Though they were spotted by a ward that was placed a bit earlier by Guoguo or SOFM to keep themselves safe.
Yeah, and a cheeky little play here from Chris and LWX, hiding in the bush, pretending that they were backing, and coming back out again, but they're actually sitting on a ward, so that didn't pan out for them.
Just managing to keep themselves even in lane as Guoguo, even with that kill, is trying to hang out in lane. Even the Boots of Lucidity for cooldown. Guoguo wants to use his ultimate as much as he can, but he is just not getting an opportunity to.
Yeah, he's getting pushed in way too hard. He's already expended all of his minion dematerializers and still cannot get that lane to push into his favor.
Oh, here's Pepper. He's managed to make his way down to the bottom lane, just tags onto Hootie. But Crystal holds his ground. They know that they've got half health on LWX, a good chunk of damage onto Crisp. As SOFM gets chunked by the Comet of Bing. Still, they don't even feel safe clearing this ward here as Pepper shows up and somehow manages to pop up underneath SOFM. That's the Nether Grasp. That's going to be the Abyssal Voyage to bring Pepper towards the fight as best they can. Meanwhile, LWX died in the bottom lane, left behind by his support. Bit of miscommunication from FPX.
Yeah, that was a really smart bait from Snake. So you fight mid, you get Chris to leave his lane, and then you instantly battle dance onto him.
And in and out, the grand entrance and quickness. Now immediately we're popping right back into live. Knockup denies Pepper. He is devoured by Crisp, who runs forward with his low health ally. Gimgoon teleporting from behind. Snare and an additional stun onto Hootie. They're trying to get this kill over correctly, giving a double kill to Gimgoon in the top lane. That's 2 kills on Gimgoon and 2 kills on Bing. But both of those lanes are empty right now.
Yeah, that's a really frightening prospect. Flandre also does not have his cannon barrage, so they're actually going to get the first tower here.
Pepper, Crisp, and trying to finish off that turret. LWX showing down there as well. Flandre doing as much damage as he can, but he just doesn't have enough time to break it out. And still, mid is defended. Top is going to continue being pushed, but like you said, first break, FPX.
Yeah, they had a 3-man advantage right there. So I think FPX is pretty set into the middle late stages of the game, where they have a lot of damage to dish out in the team fights. The problem from them is that their composition makes it kind of hard for them to go in unscathed. It's really going to be about how Gimgoon is going to enter the battlefield and how LWX can follow him inside. Because if they get hit by barrels while they're going for their engages, get caught by Crystal's Featherstorm, then it's going to make those engages very difficult, but they do have the damage to finish the team fight very cleanly once they do get it.
Finding that right position is going to be so important. A lot of that will be up to Crisp and Pepper to maintain vision so that they can find the right opportunity.
Yeah, I think at this point, the Abyssal Voyage into Gimgoon just popping out of a Tahm Kench is terrifying into the backline. I'm not actually sure how Snake can deal with that.
Well, we're certainly going to find out if they can come up with something. Perhaps Hootie holding on to his engage to disengage? Use it backwards to get out?
It could be a possibility.
Yeah, but look at this. Guoguo and SOFM rushing down bottom. They're clearing out the control ward. Crisp and LWX trying to defend. Their turret is very low health. But Crystal doesn't risk it. He pulls back, allowing FPX to hold on to this wave here. Gimgoon even running down towards the mid lane. There it is. That's the correct runes, unsealed spellbook.
Yep.
Racing forward with Bing. Mid is actually undefended as they spotted Guoguo out of position, and FPX just finding Snake unawares and taking another turret.
That was a great move from Bing right there. I feel like Bing really was the MVP of that move, so he faked going bottom, and Snake backed off because they thought Azir was coming. But all the time, he actually only went halfway, and then he went back to the mid lane with Vladimir, who had push priority in the top lane, and instantly took down that mid tower. So that was basically a 1-for-nothing trade.
Yeah, Bing has been very creative with his movements throughout this entire series, effectively. The Rise, Realm Warps to get onto Baron, to get behind Snake. And now, even just positioning around the map is allowing them to take a turret, and now this Ocean Dragon. 14.5 minutes in, Dragon secured by FPX.
I'm seriously impressed by these math moves. Like, Snake, even though they got the bot turret, it was on less than 100 health.
Oh, yeah.
It was going to fall down to the
eventually,
mid ways. Yeah, so FPX, 2 free objectives.
Trades here working out quite in favor. 2,000 gold ahead, 14 minutes in. Now we're starting to see a bit more of an accelerated pace. Snake swap their duo to the top half of the map. Essence Reaver completed for Crystal, so he can finally chuck out as many feathers as he wants. Still no completed item for LWX. That Vayne takes a long time to get going, and he's already 20 CS behind Crystal.
Yeah, that lane wasn't supposed to go very well. He died underneath the turret once, got denied that wave. The main thing that for FPX right now is I feel like their Gimgoon, their Vladimir, can start going into split push mode against the Gangplank. I don't feel like the Gangplank can do anything to him in lane anymore, so they can leverage that pressure quite well.
We actually see Snake now pushing up here in the mid lane. They managed to find Bing before he gets back, and the turret is broken down, so Snake are still making moves of their own. They're actually up in turrets, though still down in gold.
That is true. Kind of a weird situation we have right now. Mainly stemming from Gangplank, I guess.
Yeah, still the kills from Gimgoon and Bing, and the assists onto Pepper probably provide quite a bit. Plus, 20 CS lead from Bing as Crisp is going to start off the Rift Herald here. But 16 minutes in, we're seeing a much slower paced game than in Game 1 or Game 2. Neither of the teams really seem to want to rush any early excitement. Instead, just trying to take conventional macro movements.
Yep.
I can't believe it. Is this still the LPL?
This is still the LPL.
Really?
We're just
All right.
watching like a smart team play, and a lot of times smart teams will play kind of slowish. Just drag the game out. So what FPX is basically waiting for is for Vladimir to get big enough that they can just ship him in with Crisps, and so you have like a huge threat behind enemy lines, and then you have LWX running straight for you in your face. So that creates a situation where I don't feel like Snake can probably set up for. Flandre is only going to get 3 barrels in one team fight, so he's either putting them forward or he's putting them back. He can't do both at the same time. And for Crystal, that's kind of the same thing as well. You can only pull your feathers one direction. So once they get Vladimir fed enough, I feel like they can just execute that game plan. Right now, it's all just stalling, getting people farmed.
Yeah, they're well on their way. Gimgoon just ticks over to level 12, finished Leandri's and the Frost Queen's claim, or Spooky Ghosts, as I like to call them. Pepper will activate Rift Herald. It's now spotted and pinged away. Wave clear or no, Crystal, he's going to have to worry about that big purple void creature slamming on in. Boom, big damage. And LWX steps forward to try to finish the job. With Pepper there, despite the snare, they will be able to break it down. Now 3-3 in turrets, still close to 2k gold for FPX.
Yeah, this is getting pretty awkward. You could see Snake having 3 people here still could not defend. So it was a 3v3 in the top side, but with that Herald threat, just couldn't do anything with it.
Teleport and Cannon Barrage ready for Flandre, but they're holding it for, you've got to imagine something a little bit bigger, a little bit more important than defending just a top tier 1.
I feel like Flandre is just in a very awkward position right now. He's alone across the river. He can't really fight the Vladimir at this point. He's not defending anything either. And FPX are just making them pay for it.
Yeah. You can see he's got vision with some help from SOFM. They've got a clear ward line towards that bottom half of the map. But now that he sees his wave is pushed up a bit too far, he sees Hootie and Bing missing from that mid lane, decides to pull it back, play it safe. And like you said, FPX, well aware of this, are just making decisive calls. Take the turret, siege to the lane, back away, look for the pick.
Well, the thing about Gangplank is that you could technically still win any game, so let's see how the team
once it goes long
out.
enough, yeah. Once your barrels do enough damage, it doesn't really matter. But 75 seconds until that Baron spawns, 2 minutes until the Ocean Dragon is up. Not ideal, but the more Ocean Dragons, the more regeneration. That's going to make Vlad and Azir happy whenever they set up for sieges.
Yep, and I feel like Guoko is going to need to be the hero for Snake right now. He's going to have to keep his eyes on the Vladimir, try to pin him down and focus him. Or else this is a very good composition for Gimgoon. All 5 targets are pretty low health. None of them are tanky targets. You can get a lot of health back from your R and your spells. So, yeah, I feel like Snake kind of need to force something, or they're just, if they go to the late game, they're kind of just betting on Gangplank getting a Miracle Barrel.
That seems like a bit of a scary bet, though, considering it is Snake. And while they have been performing well in the Demacia Cup in their team fights, and even in the past few games in their late games, to me, I still see Snake as the 15-20 minute. We have a very strong early game, but our late game kind of tapers off. And Guogo, like you said, I'm keeping my eyes on him to see if he can find the opportunity in these fights to tear FPX apart.
Yeah, and this Ocean Drake for Snake is actually a bit unfortunate. They would have liked to set up around Drake. If it was an Infernal Drake, pull FPX in, try to get them with the barrels, try to get them with Malzahar from out of vision. But they're just completely ignoring it, and FPX go directly for Baron.
Ooh, big cannon barrage. Pepper, very low health, has got to disengage as FPX going to try to sneak the Baron, but forced to turn away.
Yeah, that was a bit ambitious from FPX right there. They did have the radar from Pepper, but still, it's 20 minutes in the game.
Yeah, it's a little ambitious to try to take it that early on, though now we can see Snake using that opportunity, knowing that they had Pepper chunked out, quickly just turn over towards the Ocean Dragon. 1-to-1 in Dragons, both Ocean, and looks like the third one is also going to be an Ocean Dragon.
Well, that's rather unfortunate. That really, so a lot of times, like, when we look at Drakes, we think about what Drake there are and how important there are. A lot of Drakes are really not that important for certain team compositions. For instance, FPX, they're all going in at once and they're going to search for a team fight victory. They're not really a siege team. So Ocean Drake doesn't matter to them. And because of that, Snake is not going to get their team fights in the bottom side of the map. So it's a bit unfortunate for Snake, but these things do kind of happen.
We can see the change-up, though. By keeping Hootie and Crystal on that top half of the map, they're now ready to fight around the Baron instead. But I feel like that's a much riskier game to play, because if you lose a fight, FPX are going to set their eyes on the Purple Worm.
Yep, so basically, if you don't pick off someone when Crisp comes in, then FPX will likely clean this up, and the Baron as well. But I still feel like Snake making a stand here is probably the best situation they can get FPX into. It's always very difficult to fight around these river edges because there's a lot of patches where you don't have vision, where it could be stocked full of explosive barrels. So
yeah. Well, right now FPX, they're sticking to the vision that they have, actually dropping a turret in the mid lane after quickly pushing it in, and now heading towards the Baron to try to clear this out. So that's going to passively push for them for the next few minutes, or at least until it does get cleared out. How are FPX going to try to utilize this here? Or immediately engaging onto the Baron. Again, the Cannon Barrage on cooldown. And now they just need to wait this out.
We can see Hootie trying to find a good flanking position. If he does manage to catch Vayne out, they can definitely one-shot him with Sothem.
Meanwhile, Flandre shoving bottom. He's able to get onto the tier 2. Gimgoon's on his way to try to deal with it. Teleport available for both of these top laners, but not getting an opportunity to use it, as that's actually some very good damage. Spooky Ghosts going to get just a bit of a slow onto Flandre, who simply pops an orange, says it's all cool, and heads out. And still, FPX playing around the Baron. They want to try to force these team fights, but with Flandre using that Cannon Barrage, they can't get a chance.
They know that the Cannon Barrage is now off cooldown, so they're going to try their hand at this again. Just go over there, set up for vision. What they may be looking for is also a pick where Crisp can just send someone behind enemy lines and try to make a pick that way. When you have the Rek'Sai, it is very clever to play around this area because you can see enemy movements as they come in. However, I don't think they're getting much out of this either. At the same time, I kind of feel like FPX does have the scaling advantage, so they're kind of fine as well, just like doing this over and over, so everything just goes out to late game.
Still, FPX just continuing to catch their wave, scale up more and more, get that Vayne and Azir bigger and bigger. You can see the gold on your screen. It's only about 1,000 gold advantage for Flandre, but Bing, he's sitting on about 1,000 gold advantage for Guoguo. So that brings us to dead even, 42k to 42k between FPX and Snake.
Yeah, this is getting very scary for Snake. If you look at FPX composition, they have 3 people on their team that can wipe the entire enemy team. Like, they can 1v5. They have enough damage to go through the entire enemy lineup. So when team fights do appear, Snake really has to look for those picks. Kim-Goon coming in from behind.
Oh, he spotted out SOFM. Tides of Blood doesn't quite get the slow, and Spooky goes to turn around and miss it, but that was teleport utilized. They use it to catch vision, and bottom lane is going to be nice and slow, pushing in. Flandre's in mid, and they turn onto the Baron. FPX are tired of waiting. Cannon Barrage used once again, but this time Crystal has stepped up. There's the engage. Kim-Goon steps forward. He manages to get the Hemoplague, but he's pulled away from the Devour as they killed Hootie. Flandre kiting away as best he can. That's the Abyssal Voyage coming up behind them, and he will be dropped right on in. Flandre is going to kill Crisp as Kim-Goon manages to get the Zanyas. They kill SOFM in the back line, and FPX, they've won the fight.
Yeah, 1v3 victory for FPX right there. Hootie went in, but he didn't get to finish off Pepper, and he actually took a couple Baron shots. If I'm not mistaken, the last shot was actually taken by Baron right there, taking him out at the early start of the game. And from then on, I don't feel like there was enough threat on FPX's carries.
Yeah, Crystal steps forward to try to save it. He managed to get one kill. Guoguo with the Malefic Visions ticking away onto Kim-Goon. He goes low, but heals himself back up. Meanwhile, LWX with the golden auto locks down the kill. Unofficial ace for FPX, and they take the Baron.
There's just too much damage on that composition. Let's watch this again. Hootie goes in, doesn't manage to get the Pepper, and we can see even though Vladimir was under Nethergrass, he was able to come out with Crisp. This is the Crisp duo we're talking about, sending Vladimir back into enemy lines right there. SOFM getting caught out on the bottom side of the map. And from then on, when you have Kim-Goon this fed and in the side lanes for so long, your carries just can't fight against. So your AD carries are very fearful of this Vampire.
And Kim-Goon, level 15 now, 3-0-3. He is getting bigger and bigger. Now finish off that Zanyas. And while the Gangplank is doing just as much damage, he doesn't have anywhere near the sustain of Kim-Goon on that Vladimir. The longer the fight goes, the better it looks for FPX.
Yeah, when Flandre is in the fight, he's really looking to pick off one target. They really need to go Hootie, Flandre, bam, and just kill someone. Or else it's the damage difference between Vladimir in an extended 30-second fight and Gangplank, who might have 2 barrel chains, it's night and day.
Once again, LWX steps forward for the tier 2 with a Baroned up cannon minion firing away. He's finally able to clear it down. Bing even showing up from the side to steal away the blue buff as FPX finally using this Baron buff to start to break open the shell that Snake have built around themselves to get towards those inhibitors, to get towards that Nexus.
Still, FPX will have a very hard time sieging onto the high ground of Snake, so I feel like Snake can actually drag it past this Baron buff and see what they can do from there.
They've spotted SOFM on the side. Once again, LWX and Bing lead the charge, bringing the wave forward. Hootie even steps forward just to push Bing back. You've got to respect the quickness grand entrance. And a single Q barrel from Flandre to push the wave before heading back to his team. He wants to try to keep it safe. SOFM, ever the selfish jungler, is stealing away FPX's own jungle creeps while his tier 2 is being sieged. Not sure if worth, but he's going to have to make it so. And still, FPX not seeing SOFM respect it. They just move forward and back. Never mind, Kim-Goon goes in. He calls my bluff, forces the fight. Crystal with the Zanya, the stopwatch backs away. Flandre in the front line. He's low, and he will go down to the auto from LWX. Finally, SOFM joins the fight. They managed to kill Pepper in the back, but that's 1 for 1, and still Baron for another 50 seconds.
I actually felt like if SOFM was there in that fight, they probably would have won that.
Well, there you go, calling him out, Clement. And now the tier 2 is broken down. There's another Ocean Dragon back on the map. Immediately Abyssal Voyage to get his team over towards it. And FPX are opening their advantage. 3,500 gold. And slowly but surely, they are starting to become something that Snake cannot dismantle.
Yeah, we could see Gimgoon going in there with no hesitation. He really has, the pool is 2 seconds, and then you have the Zhonya's 2.5 seconds. He has so much time to regain his cooldowns and heal himself back on. Really no fear going into that engage. And they did do it at a very good timing when SoFam was trying to funnel back from the opponent's jungle. I will say that I expected different evolves from SoFam. In this situation where he's trying to prevent the enemy team from walking into him, I thought he would have evolved the spiked racks so you can get the slow. It's a fan-sized slow, and it's 40%, so that's very good at stopping enemy engages.
Well, when your Gimgoon flash ult Tides of Blood, I don't know that the Void Spikes are really going to slow him down.
Well, they will slow everyone behind.
Yeah, of course, of course.
So actually kind of a weird choice there. He might just be pushing his luck and trying to find those solo assassin kills elsewhere on the map.
Well, 0-3 right now, not able to find too many in this game. And 29.5 minutes in. LWX, he's got his 3 items and another BF sword. Bing, he's finished off his QSS with another 3 items of his own. Next Dragon's Mountain, Baron's coming up in a few minutes, and while the game has generally calmed down in these next few moments, I think we can expect an explosive finish later on.
Yeah, it's just hard to see how Snake is going to win these team fights, even if they're close to killing a carry. Technically, Crisp could devour them and get them out of harm's way as well. The easiest person to probably kill right now is LWX, so Flandre needs to keep his eyes peeled for that. I feel like that's the only way Snake actually wins a team fight, probably when FPX is sieging and then they get a barrel onto LWX. But other than that, it's going to be very difficult to contest their own jungle.
You can see with Bing and the rest of FPX stepping forward, they take the red buff and quickly evacuate. Now pushing up towards the mid lane, perhaps trying to catch FPX out of position, but they rotate back. They don't allow themselves to give anything up on the map. And SOFM, ever the sneaky jungler, he's taking every single thing that isn't nailed down to try to keep his team in this, but will it be enough? Baron is up in 90 seconds.
Oh, and we see now that Vayne has just popped her Guardian Angels. Made that purchase, sorry. So this team fights are just going to get harder and harder.
Yeah, now you have to kill Vayne twice.
Yeah, so you have
scary.
Tom Kench, you have Guardian Angels on Pepper and LWX. Vladimir is just hard to kill to begin with. And then you have Azir with Quicksilver Sash.
Perhaps a bit of hesitation from Snake here in this Game 3. Ever the team, never won a title, never really made it to Worlds. They've tried so hard, they've come so close so many times, even going all the way to the finals of the Demacia Cup only to drop down. And now, here at the inaugural match of their own stadium in Chongqing, they find themselves on the verge of what could be defeat if FPX are allowed to continue playing like this.
I just feel like Snake don't know how to proceed in the game anymore, and frankly, I can't really give them a good answer. They're kind of stuck in their base at this point. You can see SoFam just trying to push out everywhere. You can escape through the jungle quite easily. But other than that, they don't have much that can split apart FPX's composition and give them those picks that they need.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard how vocal the fans have been trying to support them. Perhaps that can be the encouragement that they need to break FPX apart, but tragically, fan votes do not affect the game itself.
Yeah, Snake has picked a composition with a lot of very fragile characters into a knife fight against a lot of champions that are immortal. So I really don't see how they win it.
Well, here we go, Clement. Baron started on spawn. There goes the cannon barrage. Flandre in the front. Crystal along with Hootie on the side. Gimgoon is in the back. He's managed to find the flank. That's the Nethergrass. He's dead. Gimgoon is gone. That's going to be 5 versus 4. A huge pick for Snake. Pepper very low, but LWX tumbles forward. He gets the auto attack and finds the kill. Look at how much he's healing, and the Abyssal Voyage. He flashes away from the knockup and continues to chase. Going to get the GA popped on the far side, but Bing with a big knockup tries to lock down some more kills. SOFM hunting for the assassination, but so far it's 2 for 3, about to be 4 if Flandre gets caught, but he has nowhere to go. The full recall, and Pepper looking for the kill on his own. He will find it. Void Rush locks it down. 4 members of Snake are dead.
Wow, so Snake got the perfect start to the fight they were looking for. They took down the most fed carry on the enemy team, and still they weren't able to finish up. There was too much damage coming from LWX because Bing almost didn't get into the fight early enough. It was mostly just LWX dishing out damage, and they couldn't stand it.
I mean, LWX tumbling forward into 5 people to get a kill. Just to trade his GA. You can't really see that. Well, then again, considering game 2, perhaps you might be able to see that coming. As LWX, he's solo right now. SOFM is on the hunt. He leaps forward, getting good damage. The tumble. Is there going to be a condemn? He does get the condemn, but Flash. SOFM assassinates LWX. And ladies and gentlemen, the Baron is still on the board, and now Vayne is missing for FPX.
And Flandre is going to come back on the map faster than the Vayne should. This should allow them to set up on Baron, so we could see Snake drag this game further. They do want to make a play when none of these GAs are still up and try to see if they can turn the tides.
It's the evolved Void Spikes you were talking about. Finally going to get level 16 for SOFM. And still that window that Snake had, in which they had a brief numbers advantage, is slowly ticking away. 16 seconds before LWX is back up. And already you can see FPX are well aware of the fact that they're missing their AD carry. They've got tons of vision around the Baron. They know there's a chance Snake could try something, and that's exactly what Snake are doing.
They still have the cannon barrage so they can stop the enemy team from coming in.
Hootie pops the quickness. He tries to get Gimgoon again. The Nether Grasp. He goes solo but drops into the pool. The Baron is picked up by Snake, but Gimgoon kills Flandre. Crystal flashes over the wall to escape. And that's going to be what appears to be the Abyssal Voyage denied by some damage.
By Malzahar.
And just like that, Snake, they get it, and they are able to escape Void Rush. SOFM is eating some damage, but he leaps away after the slow, and that is Baron picked up by Snake. They are not out of this just yet.
Great decisive play from Snake right there. Know that they have a timing advantage over LWX. Instantly goes in, takes the Baron, and also great for those Voidlings by Guogwo that stopped the Abyssal Voyage from cutting off their retreat, and they're able to go back to base and restock up.
Oh, that's a lot of damage. Hootie dies to Crisp. And now they continue sieging. It's 3 versus 5. Baron buff or not, that's not going to protect these turrets. That's not going to protect their own health bars. LWX once again tumbles forward, and off of that pick is able to take an inhibitor. Now Snake have got 2.5 minutes to make this Baron worth it.
Or it's just going to be a pure defend. Now that was a really good read from LWX there. Found the condemn onto Houdier while he was trying to set up for a possible flank. Nailed him to the wall and basically killed him instantly.
Now I saw Fem turning towards this Mountain Dragon, trying to get everything for his team. He's 5,000 gold down along with the rest of Snake. And like you said, Clement, this might just be a defensive Baron here, at least until they get their whole team back up and alive. Because right now, FPX, they are so decisive. How can you read these plays in advance if FPX don't even know what they're doing?
Definitely, that was a really good tumble from LWX. You're just thinking to yourself, you know, he's LWX, he does that all the time, he's really aggressive. But he actually caught you by the edge of his eye, and he saw you on that wall.
That 1 inch of vision. And he's able to find it, finding that kill now. It's 36.5 minutes in, going on 37. We're starting to see even more items completed. Is that a 6-item Vayne? I believe that's a 6-item Vayne.
Yes, and we're fighting a 5-item Saya, I believe. I think that's Targon's Brace still on her, so she's still not dishing out that much damage at this point.
And now FPX once again pushing into Snake. They feel like they've got momentum here. It certainly shows in the gold count and the kills, but it's up to Snake to put an end to that.
I will say that both of these Gimgoon engages have not worked out as well as FPX would have hoped. He got focused down very early. So if Snake can get that to happen again, they might have a chance, but it's going to be a tough call. If FPX can just play this slow, wait for the minions to come in, they should have no problem taking this down.
I don't know that that's in their vocabulary. They immediately rush it down. Gimgoon steps forward with an early Hemo Plague. Redemption to try to get some health back, but that's going to be the final inhibitor turret. The middle inhibitor is just now going to be respawning. And actually, no, they've still got super minions pushing in. They could try to end the game right here. Snake, it is do or die time. Backs against the wall. Home crowd cheering you on. Crystal takes to the skies, but he's only able to clear a few minions.
Yeah, we really need to watch Houdier. He's the only person that can get a good engage off in this scenario. Snake's composition is not very good at doing those engages. Their only hope is on Houdier's shoulders right now. Let's see if he can get maybe LWX, maybe Bing.
He keeps stepping forward. One Nexus turret down. The sand in the hourglass is growing ever thinner, and LWX steps forward with an assassination onto Guogo. It's 4 auto attacks. This is Snake forcing the fight. That's 4-man knockup. I have never seen so many, and now they're continuing to chase SOFM on the far side. It is not enough. Spectacular or no, FPX have got too much momentum, and like sand in the hourglass, it shatters along with Snake's chances, and they finish it off with a quadra kill. Can this be the first pentakill of 2018?
Woo!
It is, ladies and gentlemen. FPX are victorious in Chongqing.
Wow, that was a thriller to watch right there. For me, a lot of the problems really stem from the ban pick phase. I feel like if Snake were going to take Kha'Zix and Malzahar on the first rotation like they did in Game 1, they should expect it to work the same way it did in Game 1, and that did not pan out for them. They got constantly pushed in by the Azir, and I felt like it was a really lackluster effort from Snake. They really didn't have many points in the game where they could push their advantages, and FPX just slowly edged out their advantages and closed out the game.
And by continuing to press their composition, playing that same style, the quick and decisive plays. Just before the game ended, you said if they just waited slowly, siege this minion or inhibitor for a few waves, and they immediately tumble forward and start sieging the turret. You can see it's not handshakes for these guys. It is hugs down the line as, oh man, Yeehan, he's given a lot of words. And the rest of FPX will make their way back to their booths with some smiles and relief. The first winners here in Chongqing. And while the fans were significantly outnumbered in the arena, their enthusiasm was not.
Yeah, we can definitely still hear the Chongqing fans cheering them on, showing their appreciation for this wonderful series and our first pentakill of LPL.
And now returning to their booths, we get to see FPX take a sigh of relief as their week 1 has come to an end, but ours certainly has not. We've now got Indiana Froscure and Black here to help us break down what happened. What is that gold graph?
That's a banger.
That's a banger. That's what we call those?